for the Overlord, so that's kind of my one concern for FNATIC.
On this couch, 2 questions. Who's taking game 1 and how many kills is there going to be? 40 kills. Alright, God, you actually don't get to say in this. Instead, we're just going to go into game 1 with Aries Vlog. Bye.
Alright, Gods, I'll predict for you. I reckon you were going to go 37 kills. I feel like that's on the mark. I don't know what team you're going to say, but what about your answer? What team you rooting for, at least think's going to take game 1, and how many kills have we got?
I don't know, the Kalo last pick always puts like a little bit of a wrench, because this hero can just run away with stuff, but I think I like T1. You know, I like the way they set themselves up. They have so many different forms of disable. Like, we got DK, Tiny, Sand King, lots of different ways to force fights. They're lacking some vision control, but initiation, like, up the wazoo, right? So I guess it's going to be a lot up to how much FNATIC can control that vision, because they do have excellent vision heroes. Actually, all 5 of the heroes are vision heroes, right? So even though they lack somewhat of an initiator on FNATIC, I feel like they can get good vision to get these jumps too. So I don't know, it's going to be an interesting one.
Yeah, that could always be the downfall of T1, that you're going up against so many heroes on FNATIC that are able to provide vision, and even though T1 have multiple ways to start fights, it could be difficult if you don't have at least the knowledge of where FNATIC are positioning. So we'll see how that, you know, comes into play. I guess now we're looking pretty heavily on T1, and they're warding overall on the map to set up for these plays.
Yeah. Oh, it looks like I'm locked actually on Oh, nice. I love when this happens. So I'm locked actually on Team Fog. So I'm locked on the player's perspective. When I click on one of them, I get to see their perspective. So I get to see actual... I like this because I get to see what the map fog looks like without having to like tab between it. But now I have to click a lot more between things, so it makes it a little harder.
Good old restart does the trick.
Yeah, I'll wait a little bit.
Some spectator bugs that they, you know, we had the spring cleaning, but they didn't give any love for us spectators. But this is a very, very hype series. We got FNATIC up against T1, of course. FNATIC already being qualified to the major, the ESL major. T1, they're still looking to cement their position. With the win over FNATIC, they will be able to book a ticket into the major, but this is a difficult opponent to bring down.
Yeah, man, this is... I can't believe like it comes down to this. It always feels like it does, of course. DPC, your last few weeks, it's, you know, who's gonna make it, who's not, who's gonna relegate who. So this one's fun because at least no one's worried about relegation. Everyone's in a happy, comfortable position. So at least we just get to see two really, really good teams just duke it out. So
we saw prior, you know, in the last tour as well, FNATIC, they had a map count of 3-1 over T1. Of course, that's including the best of 1 tiebreakers. So FNATIC, with their recent performance, of course, this is a very different team from either side, mainly though, as we battled off as the, of course, Armel, Kalo, and Kalo on the Sand King. This is what is this match? So, like, who would ever expect a Keeper of the Light versus Sand King mid?
It's fine. We had one where I was casting Europe, and it was Kalo versus Io mid. I don't know if you got to see that one. It was Sumail playing Io, and I think it was 9 playing Kalo. I was like, I don't know what's going on, but this is pubs now, guys. Io versus Kalo. Coming to you. No, it's the times are changing, right? Like, with so many different heroes work mid. We've seen the rise of both of these heroes just being so flexible and more Kalo mid than anything.
So how does this impact the early game though, because both Kalo and Sand King can really push the tempo, one with Sand King's fast blink timing and Kalo with a Dagon if he wants to go down that route?
I mean, it ends up like playing into, at least for FNATIC side, like it plays into the way that they want to play their draft, which is early Roche advantage, early like pressuring towers, because I think a lot of things that people overlook about the Kalo is the heal. I actually think it's a massive benefit that people are just like, oh, this hero deals so much damage, he also provides you so much chakra, but the heal, when you're setting up with these push and tempo lineups, which, I mean, that's exactly what FNATIC has with like a Beastmaster TA draft. It's like setting up on towers, setting up for objectives. It's gonna enable them a lot more, because then maybe in some situations where they would get burst down by an epi, they'll get a little heal from Armel. Because T1, they're gonna be able to fight those early towers because they have this Sand King mid. If he gets the good timing on Blink Dagger, they will contest all the objectives, the T1s and also the Roche. So I think it's just like having these two heroes in mid just honestly kind of just kicks up the speed of the game a little bit. So I actually kind of agree with what Panel was saying, where it's like we should have a lot of kills coming out here, because I think things are going to kick off within like that 10 to 15 minute mark. It's going to be action packed.
What is the kind of other hero that we have to look for on FNATIC? Is it one hero in particular help kickstart this game and push the tempo?
Usually will be the Beastmaster, who can really
Jabs might go down top. Oh, Jabs. And DJ's also in trouble. One more right click from Wymon's not enough, but they do get a big first blood over on Jabs' Beastmaster.
And I think that's one of the ones to look at, really. I think Beastmasters, I mean, most offlaners tend to be the heroes that set the tempo. When you don't have some type of like spirit or something in the mid lane, right? Your offlaners usually are the ones that you want to have enabled so you can set that early pace. Him dying there early, that's painful. And it's versus a tiny Pugna. Like, Pugna not really the most aggressive laner. So that's, I mean, your right clicks definitely do add up, of course. That's why we're seeing this Pugna 4 and 5 coming in. But seeing a Beast Hoodwink die that early is unexpected, to say the least.
And last lane down bottom, Cuckoo on the Dragonite, paired with Zephyr's Bane. Get to see Raven on the Templar Assassin and Genuel on the Weaver. And it looks like at the moment it's a pretty even lane, nothing crazy going on. I've been a big fan of the Bane support matchup into the Weaver, but Genuel at the moment has the Sentry advantage, so this will make at least his laning stage impact a little bit higher.
This is the boring lane, as I like to call it. You know, we have the DK with Dragon Blood, where he's probably not going to die, and then we have the TA with Refraction, and then, as you mentioned, the Bane versus Weaver. I feel like we always see these two supports duking it out. It's like Weaver sometimes win, Bane sometimes has been having the edge. Bane overall now having slighter edge, but seeing that Raven's able to get real solid farm in mid, holy moly, this disparity. 18-6 to 8-4.
Oh, I mean, you're playing a Sand King mid versus a range matchup. It's never going to feel too comfortable, and Armel can always just nuke Kalo out of the Sandstorm, so it's not like Kalo can really just position himself on the lane, as Jays might be chased down. Wyman has the boots advantage. He's going to continue to go for this. One more right click after the one. DJ has the Fairy Fire as well, but he's not going to require that.
Radiant's bottom tower is under attack.
Like you were saying though, I mean, this mid matchup struggling at the moment for Kalo. I mean, we're more than likely going to see the Sand King be able to fall back and get some catch up in regards to the stacks. They have not the greatest position for though. It's not like a Shadow Demon or a Coddle support that can really make these stacks.
Just had a little bit of audio troubles. I think it should be fixed now. I think it was using one of my wrong microphones. I think it was just blowing out people's ears.
Good old mic issues.
It was using my
Plus
speaker.
back. They're gonna continue to chase Jabs down, but he will be okay. They've already expended all the mana on Gabby.
Jabs is just continuing to really struggle up there. He's got the helm at least finished, so now he's gonna have some sustain, but the way that the lane positioning's been for him, it doesn't look like it's going to get any easier now that he started having that rough start.
Is this just the fact that T1 have been able to play with the small camp for such a majority of this lane?
I think it's that, and it's also just the matchup. You know, these tiny PA, Kunkka, a couple others versus the Beastmaster. It's really hard to play. It's like your poor boar, you have to play so defensive with it because it just dies to these tree grabs. And they just, they can't reset positioning, so it's just hard for him.
Yeah, sometimes we even see the Beastmaster go for more points in the wild axes, maybe even just starting with those axes if it's in a bad lane matchup. But yeah, this one, it's not the case. The 0-2-2, and we'll be straight into Helm of the Dominator. But then Kalo, you know, we get a little bit more last hits, but still such a huge disparity in regards to net worth. It's about 800 advantage for Armel.
That's crazy. And he's now going to start, well, he wants to start stacking, but they actually did block them. So they did block one of the camps with the early Sentry Ward that we see. So he won't be able to do the double stacking that we've seen from the Coddles. So he'll be slowed down slightly, but yeah, that's crazy how far ahead he is. Even taking the early point in Solar Bind, interesting.
Do you think there's a favored side for mid coddle? Like, is it just raiding because you can maybe get the double stack by the bottom hard and I think the medium by the outpost, or is still dies better just because of the top jungle you can farm?
So I think both sides have really good benefits because Dire you can actually triple stack. You can stack the hard camp plus the medium plus the hard camp if you hit the left one of the outpost and then blast to the right. While on Radiant you can only stack 2 camps. So, there's a trade-off between it.
Sure. Because I think this is... I think Knoxville actually put out a stat recently that this is one of the few patches that we're seeing a Dire favored win rate. And maybe this is coming down to a lot. Of course, in Southeast Asia we saw earlier in the season it was the prevalence of just stacking the triangle. Of course, it was something important. Last patch is, hold that thought, Whitemon in front of the Roche pit. Should easily be chased down from Armel. And this is going to further his lead early on to start as Armel will find his first kill of the game.
And something we didn't actually touch on too much is something that a lot of these coddles have been doing is getting that early spirit vessel, right? And this is going to be a very good game for it. Playing versus 3 strength cores plus Pugna. So going to be able to reduce a lot of that healing that's coming out. That's really nice. He's going to have the bots first, of course, but then afterwards he'll go right for it. Yeah, 7 minutes. So Boots of Travel finished up. He can join the aggression on the side lanes wherever he sees fit now.
Yeah, and I also think the scary thing is that Carl's lane, again, bring it back up, it's gone really poorly, and we've been seeing these 9-minute, even faster blink daggers, and that's what T1, they were requiring. They needed this early blink so Sand King could get active on the side lanes, and that could really put T1 behind, as, well, they might get a kill down bottom on Genuel, but a one charge will be okay. Now they're going to turn it back onto Cuckoo. He does have plenty of armor to play with, 3 points in the Dragon's Blood, so Cuckoo shrugs off the attempt.
That was close. Close one.
Oh, Cuckoo. Oh, not another side blade. Oh. Yeah, that armor's not going to do a lot to the pure damage. So now at top lane, TPing in. They're on to Gabby. Armel already flexing the Boots of Travel picked up early. Gabby's going to go for a TP out. The damage not there in time. FNATIC, a nice attempt. But the read from Gabby is on point.
And this is a great way to help out your lanes, right? Rather than staying in mid, Armel is going to just leave the mid lane to the Hoodwink, and then he's going to help the Beastmaster. This is an excellent play by him, because he knows the Beast was struggling a bit. Now he's able to shut down the Tiny, help the Beastmaster out, and yeah, this is pretty much exactly what you need to do as these mid coddles. If you see a side lane struggling, don't just farm it up. Hit that side lane. Really nicely done.
Would you like to see Armel even stay top to maybe think about putting some pressure onto the tower, or is it just back to farming for him?
He needs to keep farming. Like, if he can make a rotation, force Tiny out, that's, he's just going to keep doing stuff like that whenever he has Boots of Travel up. He doesn't want to waste too much time. He does want to still keep his farm up, but, slight little helps like that only take you, 15, 20 seconds of your time. It's perfect. And now he's got huge stacks that we've been seeing the Hoodwink working on. DJ setting those up for Armel to get a good timing on his Urn.
And this is something that T1 haven't prioritized at all. They've got no stacks at the Ancient, none at the Heart as well, which is something that we've seen Sand Kings even use Epicenters for, or you just have a tiny one that would love to have stacks.
Yeah, they continue to just play the lane bottom the whole time. Like, I was actually surprised to see Zephyr not move toward the Ancients at all. I know hard camp was blocked, but yeah, a bit interesting to see that. We're gonna see Cuckoo hit 6, pops the ult right away. Johnwell's down here soaking, but he can't really contest the DK too much or slow down the push. How's Kalo? I mean, Kalo's getting closer to Blink, but yeah, I mean, it's crazy how big that disparity is. Nearly 1,300.
Love to be able to get the regen. Looks like with the help of Zephyr acting as a bodyguard, Kalo will pick this one up. Maybe not that it's going to help out too much, especially with the resources that he has, but a very early net worth lead for FNATIC. See, we were hoping for a little bit more kills early on. We've only got 2 at the past the 10-minute mark, but it looks like this smoke on FNATIC. They're trying to charge their way top, pairing with jabs with the ultimate available.
This is when things will kick off, though, right? We said 10 to 15 minutes. That's when that big action's gonna happen. I actually thought we'd get more in lanes too, but we did have that boring lane bottom.
There's always that one boring lane. It happens somewhere. This is Kalo's doing a very good job though to keep this mid lane shoved in. It's just twice that Armel's had to TP back. Throughout the top jungle, they will run into Whitemon and DJ. Easy kill with the help of jabs. Not even primal raw required, so they might think about connecting this kill into a little bit of damage on the tier 1 mid.
They have the, like we mentioned, they have that vision advantage that they're going to be playing with most of the game, so they have the Hawk already set up behind the tower.
Dire's middle tower is under attack.
Fairly, I mean, it's pretty even early game though. I think that FNATIC is probably pretty comfortable with, like pretty happy with the whole situation that's happened because they fixed the Beastmaster's lane, but I don't think the T1's too fussed about anything either. Like, they've got their blink sanking timing, Cuckoo's gonna have his blink too, and that's when things really kick off, as we mentioned, you know, multiple forms of setting up fights and multiple forms of disables to start these initiations. And then we'll see how FNATIC responds, because in theory, they should have better vision control and better ideas of where these moves are happening, but if they're not set up for the moves, if they're not already ready with probably a number advantage, they're likely to just lose because they get jumped first because of the sanking blink.
Okay, both sides trying to get themselves set up for where this smoke attempt is occurring. FNATIC, they scan their triangle just to see if these three heroes were moving to that direction, but there's going to be T1 actually trying to pair up with Cuckoo's Elder Dragon form to try and take down their first tower. FNATIC, what's the decision? Do you think about coming bottom to defend this?
It's a scary one. I think they'd have to be set up with more heroes already. I don't think right now looking to defend this is going to be too easy, but they're actually backing up on the side of T1. Wow. That's a bit surprising. Guess they're worried about their other two lanes getting pushed so hard, top and mid. And that's going to completely break the push. Okay.
They do have their second blink now out on Cuckoo. I think you have to convert. With Elder Dragon form up in 30 seconds, you've got double blink. You really need to start getting kills.
Yeah. Or at least just the towers. Like, you have Pugna, DK. You want to start setting objectives, setting some pacing, because now you are starting to get just out-farmed. Because you do not have the stacks, as you were mentioning, and FNATIC, they've had the stacks ready the whole time for Kalo, and now TA is going to start backing up and farming Ancients too.
FNATIC, they could really consider an early Roshan. You do not need the Desolator when you have the Keeper of the Light. You can get 3 melds out if you hold, of course, the meld early, just wait for the cooldown and go from there. So this is something that FNATIC, they could take that instead of just defending bottom. They've got a lot more options than what T1 do.
Then T1 does not have, you know, they don't have that vision game. They do have the ward prepared outside the rush pit, but it's going down in 20 seconds.
They're going to take the fight fog. They're eyeing up. Oh, nice reactions. Just shy of the bushwhack to be able to catch Cuckoo. So they did think about defending bottom. See, is it in deny range? Yes, it is.
In deny range, but yeah, great getaway, because that would have been the Vessel charge too, because very likely to just die versus Solar Bind plus Hoodwink break. T1 dodging a bullet a bit there. But FNATIC just, I mean, they're just farming it up. Like, jabs is, everyone's just farming.
It's really interesting how the pace of Dota has been changing, in particular for SEA, because a lot of teams were speaking about this meta. They felt like it was fast-paced, just go, go, go. FNATIC were really speaking earlier on in their interviews that they were trying to learn a different playstyle because they, along with everyone else, kind of thought this was the gameplays of that thought. Jabs is a bit separated from the team. FNATIC started to connect. Aurora's gonna hold back the damage from Gabby. Cuckoo jumps in the river as well, but they don't kill off Jabs. They turn their attention now towards the Templar Assassin without a way to cancel the Fiend script. Raven will end up dropping throughout the river, but FNATIC, they still have Armel. The big damage dealer in the Keeper of the Lights. They will find at least a way to rectify that, cutting away the life of Kalo.
That was a great play by Zephyr. He's really recognizing like how good of a Bane game it can be. He sees Roar used, Hoodwink is near him, so he sleeps the Hoodwink and just grabs the TA. When that happens, there's nothing to stop this Fiend's grip, so they have to be a bit careful on FNATIC how they do position themselves to be able to stop that Fiend's grip versus Zephyr. And yeah, you can see that Roche is definitely like, it's gonna be on the ticker for both teams, so 15 minutes is hit. Let's see how much action we do have. Does DK pick up the shard immediately? He does have it already, so. TA, her game, you know, we mentioned how TA is like one of the stronger heroes in most situations. A lot of ways to burn through that refraction now. with Fireball and Sandstorm.
Dude, what does Zephyr do? But just a nightmare trying to force reactions as DJ does TP down. Nothing crazy, but it did work indeed. It's Cuckoo almost solo killing jabs. Wymon's able to come through with the sucky suck, and now Kalo has the fire burst. A quick and easy 1-2 punch gets rid of Genuel's life. Now Cuckoo might be expended as the shot.
Doesn't get the Spirit Vessel charge though on Armel. Was not quite in range, but a real big kill.
Are you gonna apologize or what?
Zephyr.
This...
Look at him. He's just in the most aggressive positions ever.
Is this time to force Roche though? Because Epicenter's on cooldown. I was going to say prior, I think it's a little bit worrying with Fireball and Epi and all the AoE to force Roche, but if this on cooldown, is it something that FNATIC consider?
He has Deso, right? I think it could be something. The Fireball is still, like, Fireball plus Pugna is still always really scary. And Sanking isn't, you know, like, Epicenter is a huge concept of the hero, as we see Zephyr continue to be annoying, but he'll get away this time. Fireball is most of this hero now, it feels like. Like, as soon as you get it, it's, you don't even need your Dragon form, or you don't even, and Sanking, like, Sandstorm is pretty much everything, too. Like, Epicenter is important, but Sandstorm is, like, all your damage. So it's still a little scary, I'd say, for FNATIC to force it.
They might run into Armel. He's going to be quick on the TP, but Gabby has the avalanche in the nick of time. Now the rest of the team can fly over the tree line to give the kill over to Cuckoo. And what's the play now? Do they look to connect mid? The lane is relatively even, so they might get the big tower off the back of this.
It's so easy for them to go for pickoffs. Like, it's much harder for FNATIC to set up for this. Because of just the nature of having these multitudes of stuns and initiators for T1. Ooh, they might even get some big gold for the Ripper there. Plus 100, easy. Helm of Overlord online for Jebs.
Okay. Rush it from the Beastmaster, so we'll see. What's the creep? Yeah, this crappy ice showing, I tell you what, it's definitely not the one you're looking for.
No, this is one of the worst, if not the actual worst ancient. It's so useless. The spell is really underwhelming. It's also just a weak ancient, it feels like. Low armor. So let's see. FNATIC, can they strike back? Because it doesn't feel easy for them to take a head-on fight at all into these blinks. And Epi is back online. All of T1 grouping up. They're setting up for the rush.
Need a way to cancel the blink on Sanking. That is priority number one.
Yeah, it feels like this could be really scary for FNATIC.
There we go, jumping on Cuckoo. He's trying to give them the information. Kalo charging up the epicenter. In they go, ripping apart the life of Jabs. But that was a lot expended just for the Beastmaster, so maybe Raven can have a stable team fight. Standing his ground inside the pit. Gabby's gonna charge on forward, the Tiny, under the cover of the Spirit Vessel, but with Kalo follow up, it's enough to get the kill. But still FNATIC, they haven't dealt with the Keeper of the Light. As Armel just dishing in bursts of damage from the sidelines, but an exceptional Fiend script is counted out the last second thanks to DJ and FNATIC. They are not done just yet. Onto Wyman they go, under the T1 tower. A 5-man wipe by the river as FNATIC show they have what it takes to battle T1 early.
The squishy support doing it. Look at Kalo. 4 illuminates, 4 solar blinds, like 3 spirit vessel usages. Armel just in the perfect spot. And it's really shocking they didn't go for this D ward. Look, even Whitemon's pinging it right now. This ward just spots everything from T1, allows Armel to position himself and just literally just blast. I mean, the TA and the Beastmaster get picked off, but Armel has perfect positioning to just get, yeah, 4 sets of spells off.
I know, but yourselves back into Roche. Epi on cooldown.
And you got Deso stacks, right? So Raven did get 4 stacks up now.
Well, they want a beta fight. Coming out to maybe protect the wards. They do have Sharpshooter if required. But the Spirit Vessel may be all they need. Wymon trying to give a little bit of health back. Nightmare dodge. Too early. Zephyr tried to predict it. Now this should be easy pickings for the first Roche.
Oh, that was really well played, honestly. Just decision making from FNATIC on point. Like, first time they fight around the Roche pit with the ward. Second time they fight around the ward on top of the high ground to get a pick off because they know T1's going for D ward. Really nicely done. And now they have Raven with an Aegis too. He's got Grove Bow. He's in a super happy position, and you've really slowed down. I mean, Gabby is probably feeling really afraid to walk into fights now at this point, because as we mentioned, you know, vision is always going to be important. Initiation's important, but vision is huge to get onto these squishy backliners like a Kalo. And yeah, now Gabby's playing versus like an Ethereal Blade too on the Kalo. This is a bit scary for the Tiny.
Do you feel like T1 just have to wait a couple of minutes until they get these BKBs and then maybe they can hit back?
How close are they getting them? They're okay, relatively close. Yeah,
oh my god, that's Armel's doing way too much damage.
221 last hits. The last pick Kalo. It's a dream right now. But yeah, I think triple BKB timing. They're gonna have all three at a pretty decent time together. But that does feel like what the next timing is. But FNATIC's not gonna let them. They have all this vision advantage. Right now they don't really have too much vision down, but they do have this really good ward up north that's spotting Whitemon. Also it's Saw Cuckoo. They're gonna make the move toward it.
It's like the issue is even though you're going these BKBs, you're up against maxed out bugs on Genuel. You've got plenty of minus armor. Yeah, so it's just a great lineup from FNATIC where you have a lot of mixed damage.
It'll at least let you address the Coddle problem to just run through and perhaps catch on to him, but... And I say that, but look at Armel, you know, the perma-hasted Coddle, level 18 already now. He's an issue.
Van Brace for good measure. Like, why did he get this neutral item?
Yep, Spell Lamp aplenty.
Did bring up something earlier about the Pugna Nether Ward. So that could be a decent way to help out against Coddle's impact.
It can be. I saw last fight, you know, around the Roche pit, not so much. You know, wasn't really able to get close enough to actually stopping the Coddle blasts, but or you know, reducing the damage at all. It just still feels really difficult for them to get on him, even though they have like double blink daggers and all. They're doing a great job of just bodying for him. I mean, the TA and the Beastmaster in that one situation. Even though it looks so awkward, right? It's like your TA and your Beastmaster, your two cores die for your Coddle to succeed. It's just still something that just feels bizarre.
Yeah, and it's back to something we brought up earlier as well, is that FNATIC, they just have this overwhelming amount of vision, which is going to set up for Coddle to be able to position properly and find those jumps and take fights accordingly whenever they're best suited. So this is just the difficulty, and maybe T1 they're considering. Of course, their supports are a little bit underfarmed, unfortunately, but this could be something like an early gem pickup, maybe just to offset some of the vision advantage that FNATIC have.
I think I'd like that actually from Zephyr. You know, he really wants his lens, which he's about to have. Maybe right after it, I think he does need that gem. It's just like, there's too much. There's too much vision. It's traps, it's Hawk, it's just these wards that are coming out, and FNATIC just looking to continue setting the tempo.
Look at this. Potential toss back into the epicenter. That'll be first dive taken care of, but Gabby, he did pop the BKB for this, so they've expended a lot, but they're still going to try and follow up for round 2, as a beautiful time Dragon Tail from Cuckoo will make sure there's no opportunity for a BKB. But FNATIC, can they turn this back around? The Raw holding Gabby into place, and Nightmare buying him a little bit of breathing room to make it back to the safety of the high ground, but Radiant is still chasing. It's FNATIC, they're not done just yet with the Tiny. They'll take care of Gabby's life. Now they're looking at Cuckoo as well. It's all up to Whitemon to try and provide a little bit of extra health, but Cuckoo still will be killed off with ease. It's FNATIC, why not even go for a +1? Zephyr, well, he will be protected thanks to the throne in the T4 towers, but FNATIC, well, they've got what they've came for.
My god, look at Armel go. He's just free casting.
Oh, they're going wall? No, that's not a safe place.
Tower's going down, and yeah, that's that BKB that you mentioned from the Tiny getting popped early. I mean, they've been him in the ass for sure. Armel just free casted on him.
Oh, dude, what is his damage? Like, we're speaking, Tiny's been a broken hero for quite some time. We often speak about how he can destroy buildings and one-hit people, but Armel is proving that he is a different sort of damage in the Magic, and he's just tearing people apart. And you brought it up before, Fog. That's, you know, the Templar Assassin, the Beastmaster just putting their body on the line, and that was exactly what Raven did.
Oh yeah. Ares, he's level 20. He's level 20 Kalo with a BKB.
Dire's middle tower is under attack.
Hey, they might get jabs. Just doesn't have blink just yet. Jabs is trying to keep the creeps on top of him to prevent the toss, but now that Kalo has the follow-up, they'll either get the helm of the Overlook creep. So a little bit of bonus gold back into the way of T1, but they have lost a full set of barracks.
Feels like Jabs is a little bit of a punching bag here. He's just like, alright, you guys can kill me, but you're never gonna get to my Armel. He's the one who keeps us tanking these ganks, tanking the deaths, but yeah. This Kalo is just a beast. He actually just has a, like now I don't know how they kill him at all. Like before they had the avenue to be able to, now he has a BKB, so even if they get on him, good god, Armel.
Proving that last pick and difficult to deal with this. They're even eyeing up Cuckoo at the remnants of the tier 3 tower. Cuckoo, keep going. He will run out of vision shortly.
It's like they almost have enough damage just to kill him with these two, like pretty quickly.
I think they do.
Let's see.
Still without BKB.
Too.
Oh, that it is. Spirit Vessel and the help of the Sharpshooter. It's just, you're supposed to be tanky. We're so used to him being tanky, but not in a game where you've got those two to match up against.
Yeah, this is just crazy. The Kalo show continues.
So what is the angle back in for tier 1? Because we were mentioning that the BKBs was something we were looking for, but is there an ideal fight or an ideal next item that can maybe give them an opportunity?
Dire's middle tower
Oh god, I think the gem is still huge, as you were mentioning before, just so they can know when they're not literally getting caught by just surrounded vision. They have to be able to get the head-on fights and get the head-on initiations cleanly. I think it's just, honestly, all in onto Armel, really, at this point. Like, I feel like they just have to find this Kalo and they have to jump him and even Fiends grip him, just get everything on him. He's too much of a nuisance, and they do have ways to control and play around TA, as we've seen multiple times. Like, it's the TA isn't the issue. It's completely Armel.
I do think one thing that T1 have to be at least thinking about at the back of their minds is how that previous fight occurred when they were defending top. They started really well to kill off Templar Assassin. That's something you can continue to play off the back of. Now that Gabby has Blink, you know, we can toss someone further inside the base where you have Fiend's Grip. It's a really good combo. And FNATIC do not have ways to cancel out the ultimate. Like no Blink on jabs, and maybe doing that can break the formation of Kalo so he can overstep the line.
Now they have a
DD.
force
Yeah,
staff
that
on
could
White Man. Yeah, this could be it. Like now they have a way to protect somebody that gets targeted. DD gets denied actually from a creep, so no DD for them. But they have force on Pugna, so they have a way to save. But yeah, all about getting on Kalo. Let's see. If they get on Kalo, perhaps they can win the fight. If they don't, I think they're just gonna lose the fight to him completely.
And this is a pretty cool angle.
Oh
no, the creeps, instant BKB from jabs, and I think you might just have to cut your losses and let Waimon die. I was still thinking about charging up the epicenter. Waimon's going to end up going down, but T1, they're still sticking around. They feel like this is an okay fight, even the numbers disadvantage. Gabby, they don't even kill Jenny. Wow! They don't even burst the Weaver, but they're onto the Templar Assassin. Epicenter doing mass amounts of damage, so Raven is killed off, but they haven't gotten rid of Armel. All eyes on the Keeper of the Light to see how we can turn this fight back around as a blast from downtown kills off Zephyr. Cuckoo's back in, eyeing up jabs. Carl with the follow-up as well, but now Carl, he's committed into the middle, and Armel's doing God's work. Wicked sick. Gabby's without a BKB. They've even got the boomerang for good measure. Continuing to chase, continuing to hunt, but a buyback's out. Zephyr still has the Fiend's grip, but they've got the bushwhack. An instant cancel. And Armel protected from the BKB. He escapes in the nighttime, and the buyback all for naught.
They even got the vision down right at the start of the fight. They put the obs in sentry, they saw the Kalo, but they couldn't get on him. I mean, Armel just danced. And again, the TA and Beastmaster put their bodies on the line for the Kalo. Like, pretty interesting how it just continues to happen. But I mean, all things considered though, a pretty good move from T1, something they really needed to have happen.
Gives me hope in a way, and I think a lot of T1 fans, for them, just seeing how creative they're getting to take fights. That they're not rolling over and just playing this defensive game and hoping FNATIC make a mistake. They're still trying to be proactive and taking the best fights that they can find.
Really now? You
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's small gains, you know, everything matters. The Tiny is starting to catch back up. It just, yeah, they're really just having this Sarmel problem. They're keeping the TA down. They're keeping Raven down. They keep getting on him, but as we keep mentioning, you know, TA ain't the issue. So just still that same problem of the Coddle's gonna be there, but they do now have the gem. So Whitemon should be able to control vision a little bit better and the way that they jump. But it's still always so difficult versus Beastmaster and TA. It's like there's just too much overwhelming vision. Any other big... Oh, I'm trying to think what the next big thing is because, like, I'm thinking about, like, these halberds and stuff like that because there's this TA, but, like I keep saying, like, TA is not the issue. So it really just comes down to just, they need to just find Keeper. It's easier said than done, obviously, but I don't know if items or anything is really going to fix anything up. It's just about somehow finding this pesky Armel.
I really think the one item is the gem, though. Like, I think this just helps out. It's a cheaper one than any, like, crazy late game item or anything, but it's just one that you need to somehow get vision in a particular area where you can see the Coddle in the backline and then jump him. Or you force, you toss the TA away from FNATIC, break the formation, force him to overstep, and you hold a couple of stuns, and then all of a sudden you just jump Armel. Definitely not easy though for T1, but we have seen this team, they are a ridiculously good team, and 9,000 is definitely not an insurmountable lead at all.
It's, you know, it is the Coddle who is this big issue as we keep mentioning, but it's, you know, they can't really just straight up ignore everything else too. It's like DJ's huge. 5-0-12 on the Hoodwink. We haven't really got him to talk about him too much because of the Coddle impact, but quietly just dominating the game. And all these little things add up, like Hunter's Boomerang plus Solar Bind and yeah, all this Spell Amp. These tanky heroes just don't look tanky.
So you see, it's all on this next Roshan. FNATIC got pretty good vision nearby with wards and traps. Dire would like to see them play around their own Observe Ward just to make sure FNATIC don't take that out of the equation.
They have to play around vision. It's so much that we have to just keep saying, reiterating, just somehow being able to see that backline. And it's getting harder and harder for them to kill him too, because now he has Lincolns on Armel. They have a Lotus on the Weaver too. So many different things to protect him versus the instant stuns, the DK, the Sand King. Now it's going to be addressed.
Let's see, potential fight. It's only measly old invis, so nothing crazy.
It's stressful for T1 though, because they have to play. They can't really move to these side lanes right now, and they just have to play around Rosh, because if they give up the Roshan, the game is likely just impossible for them to ever fight again. A full Scotty on Raven now too.
It's been bursted down a couple of times prior, but now with the extra stats from Scotty, make it a difficult task for T1.
And those BKBs now, you know, now they have something to address them. They have the roar as well as the slow that's coming out from the TA.
Kalo is just not... He keeps spamming these... I have to move my camera away so I don't have to hear the epi. Like, why are there players that do this?
He has to.
Ah,
he has to just keep his fingers warm. Well, they're probably just discussing like how important this area is. So he's probably like, I can't go farm anything. He's probably just like, they're just double smoked, right? Like they really are just understanding how this is everything for the game.
And yours under a ward. You're gonna lose your advantage now if the Eric Kalo jumps in. No! The epicenter completely wasted. Now this is all FNATIC's fight. But do you charge in the river? FNATIC playing patient. They know they have time on their side. Another ward drop. Whitemon would hate to lose the gem. It's actually given over, but it doesn't matter. DJ Sharpshooter from downtown once again. He's on point.
And they have to buy back. The Pugna's needed for the fight. My God, DJ's gotten what, like 4 beautiful snipes so far.
DJ Hoodwink is something to fear as Gabby. Look at the backstab. Have confirmation. Cuckoo's gonna jump straight to the Weaver. Gabby simultaneous initiation. They're on to jabs, but Aurora holds them back off to the northern side. Raven's doing the dirty work. Cleans up Zephyr with the Bane. And now Gabby also trades a 1-for-1. That is the Beastmaster's life.
That is
Gabby
the BKB
did have to
used.
Yes. Yeah. Carl is back in. Lotus Orb out at the same time. They're going to try and blow up the Templar Assassin. Raven protected for the Lotus Orb. Now they're targeting down Kalo on the river, and they're still unable to deal with Armel. A TP out from Gabby will be successful along with Cuckoo, but you've completely given away any hope of defending the pit.
Armel again free casting. They can't find the Kalo. And they keep having to use their BKBs early on in the fight, so then he just free reigns. And now it's gotten to the point where Raven is tanky enough, right? They can't burst him. They can kill the beast, but they have to expend too much. And yeah, the whiffed epicenter before the fight starts too. T1 has... It feels like they've lost all their steam, really.
Alright, let's see. You've again have this toss play. No Fiend's Grip for another 40 seconds, and Dai do have Glyph, so they have at least some time that can be created. Who got the Ag shot as well? Is it given a Raven? I didn't see.
Did the TA already have it? I think the TA got it, yeah. Cuckoo has to be...
Oh my lord. It hop out like that!
It's just like it always puts the fear in you that you have to just early pop EKB. That's why you're seeing them pop it so early. Because it just, if they get caught in a bushwhack, any type of stun, they're just dead from the burst damage. Armel's soon hitting 25. Yeah, this is crazy levels. Crazy levels of farm. 9, 1, 11. Part of 20 of the 22 kills.
Yeah, Armel is having one hell of a game to put FNATIC in a commanding position. And they've got now Lincolns on Raven as well, so double Lincolns. You even have the Lotus Orb on Genuel if needed.
It's time to end.
See, they want to try and take this. You pop the Lincolns, but instantly given Raven the Lotus Orb, so now you can't really jump.
Yeah, 3 different things to protect Raven now.
Oh my. They even have the Hawk, so they're scouting out Cuckoo. They have so much information. They're going to see Gabby's position as well.
I mean, this is like the Harpy pretty much. Like, they see the entire fight.
Let's go. Gabby jumps in, but a toss off the mark. Not a lot expended, although, well, maybe the life of Cuckoo. Not even a hope to pop the BKB. Is no buyback on the Dragon Knight, and this full set of barracks, I don't know if they can defend it.
I mean, yeah, that's what happens if you know, that's what we were mentioning just before, right? You decide not to pop your BKB, get caught 1 stun and dead. Good God. Yeah, T1, you can see, I mean, Carl knows, he's been doing this for like 5-6 minutes now. He's just continuing to pump fake the up B. He's suffering.
They've got a very good ward outside the base, but Genuel has a gem, so
yeah,
never mind, that is... Yeah, it's gone. No hope now. Have to jump before they get set up. So there's a threat of Gabby with a backstab.
Almost 25 Kalo.
Dude. Double Lincolns and Lotus Orb. There's just no... It's always overlapped in protection. They're going to try and jump. Calls him with the epicenter. It's a decent amount of burst, but Raven stands his ground, and our jabs will hold back Gabby through the BKB, and... Well, that was their attempt. They blew everything to try and get rid of the first life.
DJ just literally one-shotted the Pugner.
There we go, Cuckoo back alive. They're trying to deal with the first life, but Armel just giving him so much help. The blast! The blast! It killed off Kalo. It's always been Armel's game from the laning stage to the end.
What a monster. Honestly, like, putting the team on his back. They know how to play with it though, right? Like, the sacrifices by Jabs and by Raven this game, just allowing Armel to do this. It's been beautiful. T1, they're gonna try to hang on, but this one is well and clearly...
It's alright, they got 1%, I believe.
1%.
I believe in the 1%ers, Gabby. Awesome with the T4 tower, but Raven no messing around. Instant BKB and turns for the Bane. A sharpshooter does more than 2/3 of the health of the Dragon Knight, so he's back inside the base. It'll call up in 40 seconds, but that's going to be a long 40 seconds as Gabby falling lower and lower at decap to try and give him some time. A BKB won't be a possibility, and it'll be FNATIC. A really, really clean game one performance as Armel shows that his Kalo, it's up there with the best.
I mean, flawless performance from him, right? He had the one death, the one little slip up, but my God, this was quite a one-sided affair, right? Just understanding exactly how to play their draft, knowing who to sacrifice in which instances, and just letting Armel do Armel things. Last pin Kalo working out, like, actually even better than I would have possibly expected.
This is FNATIC as well with the bootcamp power. I mean, I think it's the first game they're on bootcamp, unless they were there in the last series, but they are looking. And what a game one to kick us off. Of course, a very important series, tier 1, with their hopes of being able to make it over to the major. At least with this series, they could guarantee a position.
To get a little bit of info from them, Fogged, if you want to start, give me some of your insight about these two lineups.
Oh, jeez. I haven't seen or cast an Arcborn game or played versus an Arcborn or anything at all. Zero's a bit of a mystery. It seems like he's more about like joining with your team to be able to fight, but from at least what I see from FNATIC is they are looking to split up the map a bit here with this Nature's Prophet core pick. They do have good dispels and everything to fight with the Invoker versus this Pug and Necrophos group up that we see T1 going for. But I'm just a different kind of style of drafting because it's just more, it feels more split push oriented for FNATIC, but yeah, I'm just unsure for the Arc Warden.
For yourself, Aries, anything you want to add?
This Arc Warden pick is very interesting. FNATIC, it's a wild draft. We saw them be able to have a really strong game one, but for T1, I like this puck pick a lot. I feel like it's something they needed. Some catch, a way to get to the back line. Your spirits were gone. There's not a lot of control from FNATIC to deal with Carl's puck, and he has a very good puck. So if anyone can put them in a position to send this to a game 3, it could be Carl on the puck.
Interesting. Then it's going to be my two questions. The one it always, which team do you think is going to be taking game 2? But this time, how long do you think the game's going to go for?
I'm liking T1 here. I'm so doubtful about Arc1 being a hero. There's a reason. Every time I see these heroes, I'm like, there's a reason no one's picking this surely. And I think they've just got a really good draft. Like what the puck brings to the table, like they've got the tiny in lane against this Nature's Prophet. I think they have the answers.
Game length before Sheep takes over?
I think 33.
Okay.
I think the game goes 38 minutes, and I'm gonna cope really hard and just say Arc Warden. Raven's the god, man. This dude he's bringing LD back to C. Like, that hero doesn't see any play. Arc Warden doesn't see any play. He's running it.
Alrighty, well, they're split on the panel, even though they're similar in time. But Aries and Fogged, take it away for game 2 and let me know the answers you guys have for the same questions.
But I don't know how we would ever be able to guess how long the game's going to go for when we're watching an Arc Warden. Like, this is such a difficult one to be able to guess.
Yeah, it's like 36 for T1 or 59 to 82 for FNATIC. No, I'm not sure. Like, and hopefully, hopefully my mic is not blowing up people's ears this time as well too. But yeah, it looks like T1 has a more comfortable draft. They have a lot of different fun combos too. They have the tiny puck, the coil into toss, which can be really good. A lot more team fight, it feels like this time around too, with their Treant plus Necrophos. Lots of healing as well too, lots of sustain coming in. And they're not playing versus a super broken Kalo. They are playing versus the Invoker, but Invoker doesn't dish out nearly as much damage as a Kalo with an advantage. So yeah, in theory, like, T1's looks a little bit easier to play, but FNATIC's has just got the bizarre factor.
Has the bizarre factor indeed, and I do not remember now already the panel's at least guesses in regards to time, but I'm just gonna chuck out a time and we'll go 42 minutes and 11 seconds. I'm happy with that, and I like T1. Like we kind of were mentioning off screen. I think this puck is just what they were needing out of it. An Arc Warden always excels against ranged matchups where you're unable to get inside the bubble, and I feel like the puck can just force you to stand your ground and maybe allow the Tiny to gap close. And their previous heroes, you know, the supports don't really give them control. You need a blink on the tree to be able to at least have this team fight. So I think the puck really outrounds the flaws that they had, and you know, could put them in quite a position to take this.
Yeah, no, totally agree. They already have this, like, they have a lot of, like, pesky heroes that they have to address, right? Like, there's this Necrophos that's going to have to tank a lot of spells, so that's going to be annoying for FNATIC to perhaps deal with. Then you have limited stuns and disables for a puck who's already kind of pesky and annoying. And then there's a Tiny also. Like, it just feels like it could be a lot of things that FNATIC can get stuck dealing with, and they don't really have the same thing as last time where there's, like, I mean, their draft was a little weird last time because the Kalo ended up super carrying. They had good vision aspect to play around it, but this time they have even less ways to initiate fights. They have great vision, again, with this draft, but they don't have, like, a Beastmaster Roar. They don't even have, like, Hoodwink catch. Their actual, like, real only catch is going to be coming from Monkey King and Invoker. So a lot of eyes, it feels like, on Armel this time. And he did deliver last time, so could be a good person to put a lot of that pressure on.
And I feel like he could deliver this time as well. You know, the Cost Wex plus Spirit Vessel. It's a very good Spirit Vessel game against the Necro, against the Tiny, to mitigate a little bit of the heal from the Pugner as well. So if that's the route Armel wants to go down, because he's going to be on a high horse in this second game. We saw what he could do on the Cube of the Light, was involved in a vast majority of the kills in game one, but it's just a question of, can he continue that into the second game?
Yeah, and he's going to be... he's also going to be, you know, now we'll flip it a little bit on the other side, is like, he's going to have the gun on him most situations and most fights. Like, puck is going to go on him, but then that could open up availability on the other side, right, for the Arc Warden and the NP to really start taking over, because there can be, I guess, like, some limited disables on T1 also. They have Tiny and Puck with the main ones, which are really good, but could see, you know, maybe the same situation happens where there's just too many things to deal with, because FNATIC's gone, I mean, very greedy, which... in SEA, for some reason, it feels like the greed does work a lot of the time, but...
I don't know how they keep getting away with the greed. I'm still trying to work out how we're watching an Arc Warden. Like you said, when the panel threw it over to you, I cannot remember the last time I saw an Arc Warden, so this is going to be very interesting to see. I want to see how he looks to what the item build is going to be, if it's anything different to the past kind of games that whenever Arc Warden was being played.
Yeah, and I mean, I feel like, do you deviate from, like, your Gleipnir kind of stuff? Like, right? Like, it feels even better now that you want to be fighting with the Arc Warden. I'm not sure. Maybe it's like your Orchid, your Gleipnir. Orchid looks good because you're versus Puck and you have unlimited disable, so maybe he goes something like that. Orchid. I'm not sure. I'm really curious, and I'm looking forward to learn, especially about Arc Warden, because I actually, I was bringing it up yesterday. I think I was looking at, like, Dota Pro Tracker, and I saw, like, nobody really playing this hero. I was looking at ET and Arc Warden, actually, and it was like, these heroes are just unpicked.
Of course you were looking at ET. If anyone's going to look at Elder Titan and his pick rate, it's definitely you.
Well, the hero's garbage right now, so I'm just trying to see, like, if pros are playing it. So it does look like some people... I checked a couple of days ago about Arc Warden, and it looks like some more people have been playing it. There's some tops in games. Looks like he just did Mjolnirs. It looks like it's the standard. Treads, Dragonlance, 2 Wraithbands, Maelstroms on everybody. No Gleipnirs, though. It all seems to be... lots of Mjolnir, Dragonlance, Hurricane Pikes, kind of standard builds.
I wonder if he does consider the Gleipnir bid, though, in this game, because against the Puck, and you don't have a lot of control, you're really going to be relying on, like, the Boundless into Cold Snap and hoping that's enough. So it really does look like a pretty good Gleipnir build if he's going to go down that route.
Yeah, it just gives him a lot of good mixed damage and good stats and everything too. I mean, we'll see how it all plays out. I think the more important thing is really just going to be about, like, how much are they going to be able to split up the map, because it really looks like that's the main thing. Even though Arc Warden, as we've mentioned 100 times, it's changed, of course, with your illusion thing. It's just like, sorry, with your Tempest double. Shouldn't say illusion, people will yell. But yeah, the Nature's Prophet and everything of just splitting up the map versus this slower draft that T1 has, because as you can see, they're pretty immobile. Something else we were talking about off cast is just like this Necrophos, Pugna, and Tiny. It's like when you see where Necrophos is, that's usually where he's stuck the lane position is, because he's just a very immobile hero. So maybe they're just looking to full out go for this split kind of play, take the game late as we were mentioning, and then yeah, that's why they went for Arc Warden.
We do have Game 2 back underway, an all-important series as well. FNATIC, of course, they've already booked their ticket over to the Mage up at Tier 1, looking to finalize that slot right here and right now. But they need to send it to a Game 3. If they're unable to take this series, then they will be forced into tiebreakers with Polaris and potentially another team in SMG if they can beat Boom as well. But that's some other series down the line. It's all on this game in particular.
Yep. And let's see. So let's take a look at our awards really quick. Last time we didn't really get to go over them because things like smoked and we kicked off pretty quick. But identical mid wards placed. I don't know if Carl actually saw. I didn't see if they smoked out and placed that one on the side of FNATIC. So it might get dewarded if they got it. If they did see it. Bottom Sentry was placed to unblock the hard camp. So T1 will have side pull available, which is really important with a tree necro lane. All about forcing the wave out, pulling the side. And they could apply a good amount of pressure versus Arc Warden. Like I'm just gonna really be looking at bottom lane for the most part myself. The Arc Warden plus Weaver lane versus Tree and Necrophos. I want to see how Raven's gonna do.
Top Jabs is taking a little bit of damage, but yeah, a bit more than that. He doesn't have the greatest amount of resources, and DJ, he does have a double set of tangos to feed over into the Nature's Prophet. I do want to ask real quick, what do you feel like this lane ward or the dire ward behind the tower is meant for? Is this just trying to set up the lanes, or?
I don't know if the lanes were that unexpected. I think this is just like Obs wards at the early start. It's just like you want to get some type of information and like just hope it doesn't get dewarded. I think this is like you can snipe some couriers, you get some information about stacks. It's just an informational ward, really. It's just all about not getting that ward dewarded. Dewarding, like losing your Obs wards, it's like so crucial. You just give them level 2 first and stuff. So, and speaking of other things, looking at bottom, I was mentioning how they unblocked the hard camp. They now reblocked it, and the Sentry actually is not going to be able to reach and unblock, while we see Zephyr also block small camp. So all about lane control, those little things.
With the Necrophos naturally going to have the lane shoved out, and Arc Warden wants to be playing back to the safety of his tower. And you also really want a lot of the lane to play with as a Weaver. You've got ridiculous movement speed, just being able to chase heroes down and, you know, duke out into the tree line.
Yeah, I'm really curious to see how it's going to go. Because in theory, it should look like Raven should farm pretty nicely down here, because it's just going to constantly be pushed into him, but we'll see how that ends up happening. Taking a look at these other lanes, these Invokers I've seen do really well versus almost everybody lately, especially versus like Puck. I would imagine that the Invoker is going to do still really well. Top, the Tiny Pugna did incredibly well last game. That was the one lane that I was like, wow, they actually got like kills. They slowed down the farm of the Beastmaster too, so they were really impressive. So I think that, again, Gabby should have a pretty free time up here.
Yeah, it seems like with all the ways you can deal with the summons, it's just a little bit of extra gold and also experience, but it just more importantly makes it difficult for Jabs to play this lane. Like the power of the Nature's Prophet is being able to outlast Sid and out-deny, but it's a little bit more difficult now with your micro in this lane.
Yeah, like Tiny can always just clear through the trees pretty easily, but he doesn't have to watch out about the poke. That's the one thing for Gabby. He should be able to farm fine up here, but just the poke can start to get a little overwhelming if DJ's able to keep Jingu up. And then trees plus Jingu can be a little annoying, but we're seeing, you know, first few levels, not going to matter for them. And at T1, off to a much better start. All 3 lanes.
I'm quite cheerful.
And we didn't see T1 in our previous game put a lot of emphasis on stacking up the Ancients. Do you feel like this is going to be a game that can be a little bit different, or do they still not really have the tools to maybe enable some of their cores to get that flash farm back in the jungle?
I think last game they actually had better opportunities to go stack Ancients. I think now it's like if Zephyr leaves this Necrophos bottom, he dies. So I think Zephyr has to stay down here, which means that they just really can't on this side. While up top, I mean, FNATIC, they can get stacks going whenever. Like DJ can go stack. He can leave Jabs alone. So I think T1 again, they're not going to have stacks, I would imagine.
Which is a bit concerning, because you have this stack clearer in the Tiny. Someone's going to excel at being able to clear these at a rapid rate and then move on from there. But I think for me and how I'm looking for the early game is what Jabs wants to do and how they play around the Nature's Prophet. Your level 6 is a ridiculous amount of damage, and I'm a big fan of the Fury on TPing mid and kind of pairing with a Crosswex Invoker.
Yeah, or even like bottom, right? Like Necrophos can be a hero that's pretty susceptible to that huge magic damage that comes out from an NP early. They 3-man him, he's just dead because that long chase you have in the off lane.
What can you do, brother?
So, see how Armel's going. Just a lot of aggression onto Kalo. It's a much better time for Kalo. Of course, the Sand King to the Keeper of the Light was a very difficult matchup, and we saw it kind of through the entirety of the game. But Kalo and his puck, if he can get off to a good start, then it feels like a very good puck game to take over.
Yeah, he does have to. I mean, we can talk about this. We'll see what happens when we get there. And if we get there, there's also the leash mechanic that's going to be coming out too, right? From the NP at 20, if he decides to go for that this game, which is probably likely versus puck. But that's one thing that I think we'll see when we get there. I think it's going to be a little weird if FNATIC gets to the point where they're getting like level 20 on NP and stuff. I think T1 might be in a rough spot, but who knows? We'll see how after all the lanes play out. But yeah, Carl, that's one of the things he does have to be a little careful for. Does get the rune bottom. Doing well, does make the move all the way down, but unable to take it away.
We'll see what T1 can do with this now, because they didn't bring any supports to try and secure one of the water runes, so they do have both their supports top and bottom, but Raven is okay. He's got the creep position out front of the T1 tower, so he's not really under too much pressure when Genuel was.
Yeah, he's still getting slowed down, 26-4 to the 17-1. He's getting less. It's most of the range creeps with his Spark Wraith, but Cuckoo and Zeph are doing a great job of getting these range denies early too. Cuckoo pushing lane in constantly.
This is... We've seen T1, they have played the Necrophos at a very, very high level. We saw the 3 games in a row where they first phased it, and then ever since then, teams were starting to bend it out in the first phase. They were giving the respect to Cuckoo's Necrophos, and this is a game where FNATIC don't feel like that was required, and Cuckoo picking up at the second phase. But yeah, T1 are very comfortable with it, but he will be under some pressure with the rotation down from DJ.
This is a good move. This is a needed move, it feels like.
I'm still waiting to find our first blood, and Zephyr's going to give that one over to Raven as the Arc Warden. Thank you very much. A mass influx of gold given over to position 1.
Okay. I mean, it feels like it's a kind of needed move because the lanes are definitely going in favor of T1, and he knows he can leave the Furion alone, or the Nature's Prophet alone. And now, I mean, Cuckoo could also get punished because he's gone 2-0-2. So if they can actually get on top of him if he steps up a little too far, it's a pretty easy kill. And they see the Treant, I believe, TPing in the mid lane too. So now they're going to know that Cuckoo's alone. Yeah, he's getting jumped.
Just some poke and prod. Said Cuckoo, no point in the Ghost Shower, but he's got plenty of one charges to play with. Try and stand his ground and push back FNATIC. This is leaving Mitch alone. As Kalo's going to drop the cord. Genuel's going to try and step in, but the Weaver doesn't provide too much. Maybe that's where Jabs can come into play. They'll still lose the life for the Invoker as Kalo's able to get out of trouble. So a big rotation. It's actually T1 that steps in the mid lane first before Jabs thinks about getting active.
No, that's good. There must have been a lot of communication going off from both sides there, because if they kept the Weaver bottom, he actually would have gotten the kill on the Necrophos with the Monkey King, but they must have been calling for the rotation because he ran straight to mid to try to help the Invoker, but not much that he can really do to help there, so maybe a bit of a
Cuckoo.
misrotation. Cuckoo
gets the one out. Fairy Fire as well if needed, but just out to the side of the Spark Wraith.
Ooh. That's very close. He is getting, I mean, that's pretty big, right? For FNATIC, they've been able to now completely catch up Raven on last hits and slow down Cuckoo's levels. He's only level 4, almost 5 on the Necro, but 5 and change on Arc Warden.
They're gonna even think about bringing Genuel back down bottom, but I like
saw
this.
Whitemon.
Like
they have the ward, so they did see the Pugna rotating down, so they're trying to match it. We have a 3v3.
Don't have TP on Armel if they are needed, but this is a good timing on T1 with the Catapult Wave.
Just watch out for the Wrath of Nature. Level 6 now on Nature's Prophet. That's the one thing T1 has to be careful of. Here it comes.
And it's coming in with the teleport too. Jabs so much burst on Cuckoo. The Ghost Shroud is out, but he doesn't have a way to cut through the Sprout. Zephyr's trying to stand his ground and beat onto Genuel, but the Weaver so pesky, they don't have a way to catch up to the bug as FNATIC. The +1s are going to be so difficult for T1 to deal with through the entirety of this game.
That was... I guess they didn't see that he was hitting 6 already on the NP. That was a really overzealous movement. Like, just going past the tower was just too much when you're playing versus NP. In the meantime, though, importantly, you know, we were saying that they were maybe not going to have time to get these stacks going. Whitemon's actually made his way over. They have great stacks this game. 3 on Ancient, 3 on Hard Camp. Prepared for that Tiny.
See? Kalo's even going into the treads first instead of maybe like a boots into Witchblade, or just brown boots into Witchblade, I should say. So wanting to maybe tank up a little bit more.
Okay.
He's got
Raven.
Coil and a Raven. They still are without the Scythe on Cuckoo. You'd love to find the first charge of the game, but the damage is plentiful to cut off the life of Raven. A little bit too late for his TP.
Yeah, no help there. Onewell was on his own mission to block some camps and check stuff out. I think he was just shy of maybe catching that gank on the Weaver there, but yeah, they find Raven. Great gank set up there from Carl. And yeah, like you said, treads. Interesting. Just wanted to tank up, and I guess he feels like he's probably going to be doing a lot of like actual attacking and right-clicking in the fights with Witchblade, because they just have the limited catch on him. So feels like a nice game for him to be able to do that if he wants to go down that route.
I think another interesting item build is that Armel is opting for a Midas before Spirit Vessel.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, what are your thoughts about this?
I mean, we did say that their draft is all about greed, right? I mean, that's raising it even more so, but okay. I mean, that feels very greedy if he does go for it. Like, I don't know. Not really a huge fan if he does go for the Midas before the Vessel, gotta be honest. I feel like they're gonna just lose too much map control, but we'll see.
Seeing that be an issue right now. Once again, Cuckoo down bottom. He's got the Scythe this time. I'm not gonna wrap all the way over, but doesn't get the connection. Oh, Jesus, that Wrath of Nature taking Cuckoo down to half. It's gonna get a little bit of bonus health back, but it doesn't matter as FNATIC. The poke from afar gives them an easy kill, and now they're eyeing up Zephyr. But the stuns are lacking, so it'll just be the kill onto the Necrophos.
That was, how much did that hit for? That was like 400, like last bounce, right? It looked like just clipped him. I mean, we'll see. We'll see if this Midas does end up working out for him first, because it is the very greedy route. But their draft is all about greed, so yeah, it's just an interesting approach. Carl, it's on jabs.
Yeah, I don't know if he gets this. Needed a +1. I too am mirroring this with the Midas. I just, for me, because I feel like T1 just run over this game with the grid, and I think you needed the Spirit Vessel to be able to deal with the tankiness that comes out from the Necro and kind of the tiny pre-BKB. We'll see if that is truly going to be an issue though, but FNATIC have to keep these early towers.
Yeah, it's just really interesting if he does. Because I feel like it's just they might not have the kill opportunity then for the Necrophos, because they are a bit lacking on that magic damage front, right? They have the Dispel, the Tornado, and all that, but when you look at their draft, it's like the Wrath of Nature, some like Tempest double, and you know your Invoker are the ones to really burst down the Necro. If he's not killed early, like the map control is just going to be a big problem. So I mean, yeah, we'll see. Kind of cool. And we're seeing that pressure ready. Whitemon starting to blast bottom tower from the tree lines.
And simultaneously, we're also seeing, actually hold that thought, bottom lane, TP's down. Whitemon in a good position to be able to scout out Armel, but DJ already in a location to be able to block off the escape avenue. So another TP down that nets him a kill on a support. You're kind of hoping to get a, you're hoping to get a bit more. I feel like you're okay, especially with the greed.
Yeah. Anything you can get this early game when you've got this super greedy draft, like anything you can get, as we see. T1 starting to set up for their farm here. It's gonna get soaked from the other side.
Jabs is gonna go down. Okay, so Kyle, that was not even coil used. It looks like the overgrowth, and back to the triangle. They've been able to cut away the tree of DJ, so Cuckoo will find his first Reaper Scythe charge of the game. There's Armel. Well, he's looking to get involved in the action, stepping in along with Genuel. They have Raven too, so Cuckoo, very tanky. We see how difficult it is to kill off the Necrophos. But can they punish FNATIC from overstepping the boundary? It looks like they'll run into the Weaver to the north. So that would be Gabby with the finishing blow.
I'm surprised Fnatic's running into this triangle to contest that, to be honest. It's like, I guess they know because the puck was top, Carl, but like, that's still such a risky place to go into. I guess, yeah, Tree Root was used and puck wasn't showing, so they had the opportunity to try to go in there, but whew, that was quite a risk to take. And yeah, T1, they're able to clean up the Ancient, get the kill top, and continue just to get the farm. Looking really solid right now.
I think the big thing is as well is that Fnatic, with all their attention put on the triangle with that fight, they didn't have a way to be able to take the T1 tower. Like, that could have been perfect. Yeah. Tree's not defending top, he's not using living armor. Now Jabs is there, and now DJ as well, but it's going to come at a cost. Like, you will be able to trade bottom.
Yeah, it was just very interesting to see how they did that, right? Like the Weaver Monkey King just soaking from the stacks, and then they try to contest. Just pretty reckless, to say the least. It's 3K lead now for T1. Quickly they get that tower trade, as you were mentioning. I mean, Gabby's just having like the freest game ever. He is completely chilling on the sidelines. It's gonna have a Shadow Blade finished up really early, and it's a great Shadow Blade game, as we mentioned, because it feels like Fnatic wants to play this like splitty kind of game. So Shadow Blade on Tiny is going to work out perfectly to catch out these, you know, this Nature's Prophet, this Arc Warden, or even this Invoker on the side lanes. It's top.
I'm gonna run into Zephyr. I'll be able to find some more earn charges, and he's got Midas back off cooldown shortly as well. So Spirit Vessel soon to be completed.
Okay.
And we are already starting to see some of the defensive items soon to be picked up, though, from Tier 1 as Kalo into the Yule Scepter, and I think we might even have a Yules on Cuckoo.
Does he have the whole thing down? Yeah, he does have it finished. Yeah, he does. Well,
top lane,
top.
Kalo. Coil out. Cuckoo's going to be a little bit too slow. A TP out, but Kalo has got the Yules to cancel that, and now poor old Jabs. Oh, he thought he predicted them. He's like, all right, all your stuns are on cooldown, but not Kalo. They didn't check the inventory, as that is a big kill to find. Second Scythe charge now for Cuckoo.
Early on, too. Only 14 minutes. 2 side charges. Carl, has he gotten... I feel like he's gotten almost every power rune, right? I think maybe one got contested, but yeah, he had the Arcane rune there, so Coil's going to be back up in 15 seconds. He got the Illusion rune, too. He's had excellent rune control and utilizing them perfectly. Slowing down the farm, keep catching jabs. These kills mean a lot, too. It's a pretty high level, high farm Nature's Prophet. And yeah, well, I mean, I feel like Fnatic, it's just... I'm really not sure what their draft does pretty soon now. It's just like, it feels like it's just super farm heavy, tough to take fights. If Monkey King isn't there, it feels like the fight isn't theirs to take. And yeah, it just feels like they're going to be playing this farming game while T1 is just looking to pick them off all over the place with Gabby, with the Shadow Blade, and with Carl with his Yule Scepter early on. So it feels a little tough for Fnatic to, I mean, get much done around the map, it does feel.
Yeah, especially because T1, they have the potential to go for these pickoffs, but I feel like Fnatic have to put themselves in a position where you're splitting up on the map. You need to play this global aspect where... Because that's what your lineup thrives on. You want to pull them apart and have this Nature's Prophet all of a sudden TPing into a numbers advantage, or the Arc Warden as well, but T1 are not going to give them that opportunity because they're already looking to group up.
Yeah, they're already the ones dictating the pace of the game. They're the ones taking towers objectives. They're the ones actually setting up to catch heroes on the side lane. So it's actually like T1's playing the game almost perfectly, it feels like, versus what Fnatic's draft wants to do. Fnatic just, like I said, I don't know how they actually do stuff on the map now at this point. Like, they have to just kind of play this like super farm game. It's just really tough to catch. It's like Invoker has to be the one to catch, or Monkey King, and DJ's playing for his own farm. DJ's got the Fusel Blade done in a second, so maybe when they have the fuse on everything, and once they all group up, you could see these team fights happening, but yeah, for the next few moments, you definitely feel a big slowdown for them.
Well, they might be able to kill off Wymon. A cold snap to be able to cancel the TP, so the Pugner's life will be expended before the rest of Tier 1 are able to show up. So if Fnatic do get something out of the map, or some of their cores are continuing to get their farm.
It's just a 5 position. It's just that Pugner.
Might run into Kalo. They're going to replace the ward on the high ground. But, yeah, how do you jump the puck?
Yeah, Zephyr and Carl are hunting.
That lane ward. Nice read from Genuel. Yeah, Sentry just in range of the Observer. They're going to run to Cuckoo, though. He's got the heal sword. Cuckoo is extremely tanky. I don't know if you're going to be able to kill off the Necrophos, but that is Wukong's wasted to no avail on FNATIC, so T1, they can go in.
Yeah, and Gabby's now turned up too, with his Shadow Blade, with his Shard finished with the Echo. I mean, he's quite massive.
He's huge. What?
Yeah.
Oh, this is the thing. You know, fuck, they didn't make stacks room in game 1. Now game 2, we see multiple stacks provided, and he's top of the net worth by a long shot.
And he's playing into a much easier draft, really. Like, sure, they have the Vessel, which is a bit annoying for him, but there's just like, yeah, there's not really much to actually hold him down, not much to actually burst him either. Like, who's gonna kill this Tiny this time around? You know, there's not this Coddle's damage that's just one-shotting him or anything. It's gonna be slow and gradual.
His counterpart in the Arc Warden has had the farming steroid for quite some time in the Maelstroms. Has now already worked up to the Dragonlance and has got pretty lucky with the Grove Bow as well.
Indeed, indeed. But even like him turning up the fights doesn't feel possible, right? Like that's where my big question mark for Arc Warden is like it feels like he just needs BKB, right? Like if he doesn't have BKB, how do you fight into this? So it feels like he's gonna have his Lance, when he looks like he's queuing up his Mjolnir, and then he needs BKB, and then that's when they're gonna be able to potentially 5v5 versus T1, but they're losing map control, right? Like it's 4K lead, Gabby's going wherever he wants, and they're kind of just doing whatever they really feel like it on T1. And you're right, like these are very slow games for SEA, man. 7 to 6, 19 minutes.
It's because again, like a lot of the teams early on in this second tour were speaking about fast tempo, that the meta is changing kind of off the back of game as Galaxy with Boom winning that, and they were looking to kind of replicate that. And then these past weeks, week 4 to the tail end of week 4 and week 5, really been seeing games slow down, and something that when Southeast Asia, it's always fast action.
Things have changed once, it's like everything's getting closer to TI. People are being more careful, but here we go. FNATIC, they're smoked.
Got a really good ward on the higher ground to give them information. They're going to move to the north by the outpost. Overgrowth will hold them back. They're unable to lay down the Wukong for some control. Gabby's going to try and continue to retreat, but meanwhile, it's just all their ultimates lay it down as they're just in the meat grinder. Jabs will try and BKB Tiap. They've already lost 2 back in the front of the pit. The Arc Warden's been caught out. He's trying to stand his ground. He'll get a kill after the death, but oh, it's only on a position 5. Such a worthwhile trade for T1.
Beautiful route. What, he got 3 or 4 heroes, and as you mentioned, the team fights just look a lot easier for T1 to play, right? They have this tanky frontliner with Cuckoo soaking up spells, and then Carl just picks and chooses targets. They all can just pick and choose which target they want because they just have much easier team fight, and FNATIC's is just awkward with this Arc Warden, with this, the Monkey King as their only real setup of stuns. He stunned the 2 heroes on the right side of the fight, and then they had no catch or control inside the Wukong, so the Tiny just walks out of it after getting tornadoed. So really awkward kind of fight that FNATIC forced, and T1 was just ready for.
Yeah, and you mentioned the Overgrowth and how detrimental it was in that team fight. It just kind of cancelled the Wukongs for multiple attempts, and then it gave him that time for T1 to maybe react, bring the numbers in, get out of harm's way, and now we see this net worth lead just continuing to balloon in their favor, and they should get another pick off with the coil available on Kalo. And this is pre-blink. This kill should give him the blink. So Kalo, will they?
There they go.
Yeah, he doesn't have the ultimate, so I'll finally be able to run into the bug. And there we go. Dominating streak, Kalo 4-0-4, and I think it's only going to get more difficult to be able to deal with the puck this game.
Yeah, they literally have like no catch for him, right? Like as we mentioned multiple times, it's a very free puck game. He's doing it. He's having an excellent game, doing an excellent job, and yeah, they're continuing to just play like as this unit. And I'm not seeing great ways for FNATIC to get back into this just because of their lack of damage. I really don't see where their damage is going to come from. Unless Arc Warden somehow is able to hold his ground with like alacrity the whole duration of a fight, beating on Tiny and Necrophos. Like, I don't know how they kill these 2 heroes in particular. Just way too much beef and way too little damage that FNATIC's draft has at this point. They gain damage. They have like 2 of the heroes, in my opinion, that gain damage based off of items the most. Arc Warden and Nature's Prophet. Like, they need items to actually do stuff.
Jabs, get out. Get out! They've got Overgrowth, so there's no hope of a BKB TP. He's still gonna go for it, but Zephos stalking, and they wouldn't even need it. They will not even need the Overgrowth as Jabs is killed off, but FNATIC, they want the fight.
Okay, I mean, this is bold.
I don't know. Not without Jabs. Let's see how they can start this. A double boundless into the Wukongs. They're trying to focus down Gabby, who's falling lower and lower. The
Actually
life
got him.
isn't enough. And now Cuckoo, he's soon to be killed off as well. FNATIC taking a team fight with a numbers disadvantage. But FNATIC, they show up huge, taking away 2 lives and almost third. But what was that?
Wow. I mean, that was very unexpected. Perfect connection on both heroes with the stun from the boundless, and I guess since they saw the puck bottom, they saw Carl showing, they just made this crazy move and it works out. That was beautiful. As I was saying it too, right? I cursed them. The tiny Necrophos, these 2 tanky cores just get perfectly set up on from the double boundless, double control. They need that a couple more times, but get to see the Arc Warden actually able to hold his ground. Raven, Mjolnir done. On way to BKB. Perhaps some hope for FNATIC.
Dire's top tower is under
Definitely that BKB is what we're looking for here for
Yeah.
Raven. If he can find that, then the Wukongs can maybe give him a little bit of control as Carl snags back the gem, which they did lose prior with the tiny going down.
Oh, that would have actually been... That would have been pretty... I didn't even notice that they lost the gem there. That would have been even bigger. FNATIC could have reclaimed a lot of the map, but... Fine, well, not play careful. Loses it right away. Level 19 puck, Carl. Still huge. Still running away with the game.
This is huge, Fog. Look at that. The lane ward bottom with the sentry saw Armel TPing and making his movement, so Gabby almost stepped a little bit too far. And now they might look to connect bottom. The rest of T1's towards the area.
Radiant's middle tower is under attack.
And yeah, I guess Gabby does have to be a little cautious too. I guess he now... I was feeling like he was pretty immortal as well too, but after that top fight, he's probably feeling like, oh, okay, gotta be a little more cautious. Wait till BKB. When he has BKB, he's completely invulnerable. But yeah, they just have to be a slightly careful with his positioning of having who's in front. And if they show the puck, as we've seen, like Carl kind of feels like everything, then that's when they can get jumped. But still in a comfortable spot, T1. Not to have their, feathers rustle too much after that death up top. Just don't want to have that happen too many more times, because as we mentioned, FNATIC, they've gone for full greed. They want this game to go late. They want to go greedy. As we see the item builds, not only just the draft, but the items that they've gone for, right? The Midas before Vessel on Invoker, the Diffuso Rush Monkey King, Arc Warden, just straight Mjolnir, delaying the BKB as long as he can. Just pure greed.
My eyes are kind of towards Roshan next for T1, because I feel like it's a bit difficult for them to just maybe siege down these tier 2 towers. So is there items we're looking for to enable T1, or how do they set themselves up for being able to take the first Roche of the game?
For first Roche, I actually think it's just the BKB tiny, and they should be pretty okay to set up for it. As long as they have vision in the area, which in theory they should. With Treant and Pugna, they should be able to control area. But yeah, I feel like they could force that Roche pretty soon. BKB tiny, and then you can make your way into it. Like one pick off, and then, yeah. You just have to be a little wary, just because there's the Monkey King. Gotta just watch out about the Wukongs around the pit, but...
Yeah, it's always a scary thing, because FNATIC, you've got pretty decent AoE control. T1 have the same as well. You've got Overgrowth, you've got Coil to play with, so it's... We did say there were some issues with T1 with how they can kind of take fights, but now with Double Blink, one on Carl, one on Gabby, it definitely gives them a easier time to start these fights than what we were kind of expecting earlier on.
I mean, Zephyr also, like, something we can't really ever, like, forget about also is Philosopher's Stone, right? We do have Zephyr. He's got the Philly. He's sitting on a Arcane Boot, a Plate Mail, and what I saw was, I think it said he had 2,000 gold, but now it keeps swapping because when people disconnect, so I can't tell how much gold he actually has. It looked like he had like 1,400 or something, so potentially a Lotus Orb already kind of done on the Treant also, so some big items for T1 still that they have to be bringing out, which can also be really nice for the Tiny, for the Puck, playing versus that Spirit Vessel, more ways to protect besides just BKB. So yeah, it still feels hard for FNATIC, but if they can, they just got to keep drawing the game out and hope that this Arc Warden can carry, which maybe he can.
That's really the question and the thing that we're looking for, because this again is a hero we haven't seen too often. Maybe FNATIC have been experimenting a little bit in some scrims, seeing if it works out or not, but they get to play it firsthand against T1, and you were mentioning the BKB, and if you can get to that stage, they're going to need a couple more fights until then, but I think his one He's got one component completed. He can always disassemble the dragon lance for the second component. So if he can find his BKB by the time T1 look to try and take Roshan, then maybe FNATIC can have Arc Warden in a position where he's protected with Wukong's, a lot of control from the Invoker, the Nature's Prophet being an issue. Then who knows? Maybe that's a fight that FNATIC can, then take the advantage and then potentially get Rosh off the back of it.
Yeah, it's going to be a lot of push-pull with the, BKB timings on both sides. Because as, for FNATIC, they also have really good ones. For T1, they have really good timings too. But FNATIC's BKBs, as we mentioned, they're playing a little bit more of a greedy draft. The Arc Warden plus Nature's Prophet, they're the hero. Arc Warden plus Nature's Prophet, they're the ones that really need that BKB to stand toe-to-toe in the fight. So for them, it feels like the BKB is even more important. So I'd say when they get it, yeah, they can look to fight a little bit back more into T1 as they've lost quite a bit of control this game. And just great wards. You pointed out before this ward and obs combo that we saw from T1. I think this is just something really interesting. Not just to scout out those obs wards that are placed in those positions, but like you mentioned, the Ghost Walk, right? Just to see where the Invoker's setting up. One.
Yeah, also you're playing into a Weaver as well. So it's whenever you're versing any hero that has some form of invis, it's always important to have an Observer and a Sentry combination. Just be able to, you're in a high ground position, anything like that. You could, it's potential life or death, being able to scout out a movement that's occurring. That was the case down bottom that I just saw.
What do we have going on? What they said, they have to switch internet or something? Yeah, it looks like it. So, a couple more moments. Sorry, everybody.
Some good old Southeast Asian internet issues. That's okay. We should be back underway shortly. I know you've only gotten 2 games so far from Southeast Asia. Has there been any big difference you've seen so far, I guess, with the style from Western Europe to SEA?
I mean, not really, not a difference, actually a similarity. You were mentioning how the games have slowed down a lot, and I've noticed that much more in the last few weeks. I think it's crunch time, right? We're getting closer to TI. I think teams are being a lot more careful about how they give up kills. For the most part, I've still seen some games where it's like 30-something kills in 16 minutes or whatever, but I've seen a lot of games just be like this. It's like, 10 to 10, 20 minutes, 8 to 7, 17 minutes. Teams are just being a lot more careful. I guess the thing that I noticed in SEA is just, what is it? Sanking was not as highly renowned. Like, it made it to the 4th pick, and I saw even in a lot of the games that it wasn't even first 2 banned. Well, I feel like in Europe, it feels like 100% banned pick, like first 2, so.
Yeah, it's interesting to see just the, at least hero priority going from region to region. It's, of course, unfortunately, now we have China back online. We get to kind of keep our eyes on them and see what hero is there, at least putting priority on, but we don't have that, of course, for Eastern Europe. Whether it was a meme or not, the troll, what's going on, but of course the tier list from Team Spirit, we got to mention that a little bit and be like, they think these heroes are strong. They also maybe don't think it as much, but yeah, well, it's interesting to see kind of the comparison between the 2 regions.
Yeah, I always like seeing just how the difference of what team, like who picks up what first, who understands like, oh, Kalo Pango's broken or something first. It's always cool. And it's always cool to see when things leak into other regions too, where it's just like, oh man, like, support Pugna or mid Coddle or something. It just starts to getting picked up by everybody. That's cool. And also, like, I didn't get to see any Arc Wardens, right? Like, now I get an Arc Warden game on my, like, 2nd game casting SEA. It's pretty cool.
We had a goddamn Meepo earlier on as well.
I heard.
What's going on tonight?
I heard. Did you guys have you guys had much Huskar in SEA?
We have recently.
You guys did as well, right?
Yes. Recently, I think last week throughout the tail end, FNATIC picked it up in 1 game versus Boom that they lost. There was another one I saw T1 played it against Boom and they won that game. So yeah, we're getting a little bit more Huskers lately. It seems to be later on. I think I saw OG playing the Husker a decent amount. I'm not sure if
first
any other
2
teams
as well.
have been playing it. Yeah.
A lot of the times they were doing it first 2. It was also Entity, but Entity was more because that's the thing too. It's like OG is Entity, right? Because it's BZM. It's like a lot of these players that literally played all together. So like they already had the same like ideas of stuff. So like Huskar was getting first 2 by Amar, who played with Crystalis, who is the big Huskar fan. So there's a lot of things I feel like that just was because of similar ideas that they all played together. But yeah, it was cool to see how some dynamics did change. The other one was like CK has been becoming more and more popular, which I saw at least. It's starting to come a little bit more in SEA, but it's taking a little more time.
I think we have a little bit more emphasis on different carry heroes in particular than like Chaos Knight seeming in Western Europe. It's very often picked as a position 1, and we're getting it a little bit more as a position 3 as well, just a flex I think we saw earlier today with Mizu's Chaos Knight, and even his first couple of games when he stepped into position 3, he was always a big fan of the CK. Of course, very different look of the hero at the moment. Just to keep everyone up to date as well, we are still having some disconnection issues. They back and forth we go. It looks like ping is not working out in T1's favor, but
T1's struggling.
Get this one sorted. They are.
They're running out of time. They're at 1 minute left, I think.
I don't. It was this game where FNATIC had the pause as well, so I don't know if they're gonna have too much reserve time to give over to T1 if that's the case.
Yeah, they're just having lag. I mean, we have had situations, right, where teams have given up their time, but you can only give up so much, right? It's 10 minutes and then 10 minutes and then it's done. So let's hope T1 they're all back in. Let's hope that lag is fixed. Oh, just kidding. Zephyr's gone.
Oh, they're back out. All right. Well, yeah, we do have the major coming up shortly. Of course, don't know what's going on with regions, but I think in particular, it's you were just mentioning about kind of the meta trickling down from region to region. I think that's where it really is the most exciting thing. We get all the regions battling it out in one location. We get to see it's a test. It's almost like just kind of flexing the ego in a way where people are like, my meta's a little bit stronger. And there we go. We do have a unpause underway, and we are back with the action.
And it's going to probably be into a fight almost immediately, it looks like. Except for he's got a smoke. As we said, also, he was very close to Lotus. He's about to have that finished up, which could be a huge pickup for the tree. All right, got to reset ourselves back into the game. As we mentioned, you know, FNATIC still on back foot, had a decent fight, but still looking to get some farm online. They have the BKB on Nature's Prophet. I believe BKB is done on the Invoker now too, and Raven is very close to his. So once we have triple BKBs on FNATIC, could see them look to fight back into T1 because they're still at this disadvantage. But before that, I would be surprised if FNATIC looked to pick a fight.
It definitely feels like it's the time in the game where T1 need to force something. Maybe though, because yeah, with Gabby still looking to try and find this BKB, but
how close?
Have this?
He's very close.
Yeah. Huh? 5
They're
man.
gonna
They
do it.
don't have some objectives. Maybe if they move to the triangle, get a pick off, and then lead that into Roche.
Armel has BKB though, so they have to combo it with like the tiny perfectly. They have to get him like immediately with the tiny. If they're gonna go for him, that is. Going well. Looks like he's gonna be the one to walk into them.
Armel.
Oh, he has
If he
BKB
pops an
though.
early BKB, it's going to do just that. Overgrowth keeping Armel in place. Gabby's
Misses
waiting the
his
wings,
combo.
trying to find the angle. It's going to go to the west instead. Is Gabby an easy 1-2 punch? Will cut away the life for Genuel. Let's see what they want to get out of this. Maybe just the T1 top.
Great ward control. Again, T1, just that left ward that we mentioned from earlier. Spots the Weaver for a second, as well as that ward that they have on the high ground. So they pick and choose their thing, but they don't get Armel, as you say. No BKB, if the Tiny doesn't jump him, he's going to get it off. So he's able to be okay. And it's just a Weaver kill, who is the 5 position. It is a full 5 Weaver if you've looked. Double fluffy hat cloak. He's so poor.
One interesting thing to mention while we wait is that Jabs is going to the Witchblade, which I have to imagine is then into the Revenant's Brooch to
cool.
maybe help out versus the Necrophos.
I mean, that would be really cool if we. It's very expensive. It is only just the 5 hits, of course, of that True Strike plus that piercing, whatever, but can be cool. Bottom, we see them setting up attempting for Carl. But yeah, it's kind of interesting to see that Jabs has gone for this build rather than going for an Orchid this game, right? Like BKB Orchid versus Puck. I thought might be an option for him, but no. He's just gone straight for later scaling, is what I want to call this.
Well, the Orchid was actually the first item he had queued up.
Yeah, that's...
Oh no. In again goes Gabby. And it was almost a hope for a time lapse, but Gabby gets back-to-back kills in the Weaver.
Could that open up Roche for them? They're going to start it.
Hopping down to TP2, and they've got really good control in the area. Even though they lost the ward by the triangle, they still have one by the top tower room. Gonna take it fast though.
Yeah, they have no medallion. Tiny, not the best clear for it. Said they're gonna look for a gank potentially. They see Armel in mid. DJ, he smoked. Oh,
Gabby, close back. DJ in the river. No escape as they find another scythe kill. Cuckoo 4 charges. Back to Roche they go. Now, with all this going on, bottom tier tower is falling, so Jab's at least getting something out of the map.
Dire's bottom tower has fallen.
But a Roche for sure. Once the Monkey King's dead, there's no way you can contest the Roche. On the side of FNATIC, great grab from T1. I mean, Jabs, he's Jabs?
No way. No way. He's toying with them. He's like, yeah, there's maybe a chance. He did free up an item slot. I mean, it's only an item branch, nothing crazy, but...
He thought about it. Sitting around the triangle, they're denying this farm away from the side of T1. T1 knew that. They don't have a ward there, but they knew that they were in this area. They were pinging it out. And are these BKBs done now? They are. So Raven has his. As we mentioned, the Invoker has his. Nature's Prophet has his. So this is where FNATIC is likely feeling a bit stronger, but it still isn't feeling so great into what they're playing up against. T1 just continuing to just get more and more out of the map. Gabby just having a free game, 4, 1, and 3. Already on to his next item. Soon Silver Edge done.
This center war on T1 has had the full duration by the Ancients, which at this stage of the game, I would never expect that. So that is just a ridiculous amount of farm that's been taken away from Raven. What?
Jabs. There's a ward.
What's going on bottom? Yeah,
The Tinker ward.
Jabs. There's not much he can do.
Here. He's waiting.
He's just stalking on the tree line, and again, there won't even be a threat of the overgrowth. They've done way too much damage, and Jabs is just on the duty of trying to push out the map and delay for as long as possible.
You know, we keep mentioning the delay. You know, they're delaying for the Arc Warden. Raven, he's 6, 2, and 3. He's got his items. You know, the Scotty after this BKB Mjolnir, I guess, is now going to be the big fight thing for him to be able to kite and tiny and everything, but I'm not feeling it, Aris. Like, I still don't even feel like he's ever going to be able to do anything.
Okay, I think this Scotty is huge. I feel like if they don't get Raven to start, because they are, again, very immobile, and if they can lay down the Wukong, so I imagine what the play is for tier 1. You try and coil Raven, so then Tiny can get on top of him. But if you put Wukongs down, everyone around, if Raven can survive the coil, then reset, all of a sudden T1 are trying to butt their heads in a position where you have to commit into a fight. That there's no other option for you. It's either commit, or if you try and run away, you're getting slowed by Scotty. And I think that is...
My fear is that they're just too... They're not getting... I mean, they're losing too much of the map. Is that, like, Puck's gonna hit 25. Tiny's gonna hit 25, and then congrats, you have your BKBs, but you're stuck, and Tiny will be able to get on you. That's my really big worry here for FNATIC, is just that even though they are playing their game where they're split pushing, it just feels like they're getting nothing but the split push. Like, they're just getting out farmed and out resourced, and I don't think it doesn't feel like they outscale with how far behind they are. Like, I can understand Arc Warden outscaling Tiny in the matchup, but it just feels like it's going to be hard from how big Carl is and how much of a free game the Puck has. But we'll see. I mean, if they're able to do it, it's going to be pretty miraculous, but it's feeling really difficult for Raven.
See what they can do. With the help of DJ, it's going to force out at least some item usage, but only brings down Cuckoo to about half health. He forced to glyph up the T2 tower just to hold back tier 1 for a moment.
I guess it's gonna come down to later stages of like high ground defense, right? It's like how much is FNATIC gonna be able to do from high ground, and is T1 ever gonna be able to break that? I guess that's what we'll get down to now, since we're approaching these later stages.
I think that's where FNATIC, if there's an angle back in, I think it's off their high ground defense. That's gonna be the tricky thing is Carl. Yeah, I saw the nice psychic headband. Carl has got all the tricks under his belt, 6-0 and 6, and he's working on the Octarine next. They are setting up for him down bottom, but can you ever kill him? He's gonna get stunned. He's got Yules, Silence is out, Armel soon to fall up as well. Yeah.
That was just the Mindbreaker silence, the one little hit there. It's the only thing they have really to catch. Raven, giving up some money.
Doubles.
That's a lot.
300. so much. Now he's like, thank you very much. Top of the net worth with ease. 4,000 comparison between the position ones. And look at the position he's farming as well. Just at the front of the T3 tower. Really no care with Gabby.
Dude, I mean, like Carl's about to hit 25, so we're mentioning like that's one of the things, at least for me, this Dream Coil Pierce's Magic community is going to be huge for them. I think this is going to be a 9-second BKB from Raven that he gets coiled and he can't walk out of the coil. Like the first BKB usage and he's stuck inside of it.
Oh, and it's not like they're ever... Like, Raven is not itemizing for pickoffs in a way. It's no Hex, no Bloodthorn, nothing like that. Armel does have a Hex queued up, and he's got about 3,300 gold in the bank. But that's really, I think, your only way to kill the puck. I think we have to wait till Armel gets his item.
And being honest, it's like, even cats look at Carl's HP. Like, Carl is not squishy. This is a 2,600 HP puck, you know, and he's got backup. He's got Lotus. He's got heals from Pugna. They have damage reduction from Pugna Ward too. So, yeah, things still continuing to look really hard for FNATIC. No BKB yet on DJ either. So for the Monkey King, he'll get his Wukong off, but then he'll just die almost immediately after. And yeah, I think T1 they're really feeling their strength. Starting to look for something with the smoke.
They played from Genualdo. Pops the smoke. So this will give them some information with the positioning on T1, so Jab's instantly trying to shove out bottom.
AC finished a bunch of...
Kalo again!
What a play.
Dude, he's...
and he gets the Yules, and he gets the silence.
Dude, relax!
MVP
oh. On top. Zephyr almost running into the Monkey King there, but yep, cat and mouse, that's the name of the game here.
Yeah, it's cat and mouse where they're not getting more on the map.
Yeah.
So it's like, Tiny's 25 with an MKB.
But, Fogg, you brought up earlier the Sprout on Jabs. He is level 20 now.
Okay.
So maybe you can... Like, that's a pretty good way to kite the Tiny. That's maybe a way to get some stuns onto the puck.
Well, he still can get... They do have a 4-staff, so Pugna can just force him out. They still can play around it pretty decently.
Light one's on clean-up duty. T1 tower still hasn't even fallen mid as well. That's up to Zephyr. Blink Lotus Orb. He's even got... What, double? He wants double phase. Yeah, why not go for another phase boots after the one he's already completed? Phase on tree, it's very interesting.
I was about to say, it's like, I think he just bought some luxury item right here.
What item do I need? He's got Philosopher's Stone, all the gold he would ever require.
Lotus is all he really needs. He's got the cheeky Aghanim queued up next, but...
The tree eggs. It's a pipe dream.
It really is.
Is this item, like, really that good with how easy it is to get rid of the trees?
It's permanent vision. Well, quote-unquote permanent.
Yeah.
It's pesky vision.
Alright, well, Amos, I imagine he buys out for this Hex. He's about to have enough, and Raven's almost got the Skadi, so they are getting close to some item timings before next Roche, and this could put FNATIC in a position where maybe they can just edge out some trade.
How do you win a fight? Like, you're so reliant on your BKBs, and you're playing versus this coil that just ruins you. Like, Carl is just having a field day the whole game, and now it's where it's like even more fun begins. 25 puck with all these items, going toward overwhelming. There is the Hex though, so that's the one thing could trip him up.
Feels like it's difficult to get that numbers advantage because T1 they've gone into multiple boosted travel, one on Cuckoo,
yeah,
one on Carl, so they recognize that this is kind of the game plan from FNATIC.
They've done a really good job of just dealing with the split push at all times, like either the puck or a lot of the times we saw the Pugna, right? Like Whitemon's been catching and killing Treants, so constantly having to deal with side lanes, but they always have the bots to join in.
Well,
the rat continues.
On Armel. Yeah. It's just see maybe how some tier 4 neutral items can shape up for FNATIC as well, but they're making sure that you really can't play too far away from this top triangle.
They're forcing something here. Not going to farm their tier 4 items.
Race
Awkward.
stayed down. So
Yeah, the
difficult
race
to enter the
already.
high ground.
And the split push continues. The Treants now starting to force a reaction.
Maybe you smoke now. What's the play? You still want to be around your vision, but you did get the recognition of puck TPing bottom.
Can they
He's
catch
actually going
anything?
to get pretty aggressive. Just out he goes. Down to Gabby committed in. Stuck in the sprout. Minimal damage that Raven's doing. Decrep's going to give Gabby a little bit of time to make it up the higher ground, but still down to half health. Alacrity
the
given
puck.
over to the Tempest double. Look at this damage. Raven is actually doing God's work with the Alacrity. Of course, that is the 20 talent as well.
Okay. They forced some heroes. Gabby, you can see how patient he is, holding the BKB the whole duration, has his teammates behind him. T1 still looking to force something. Nothing was committed, really, from either side.
Again, whenever T1 showed, it's instantly jabs trying to shove out bottom, force reactions, and then FNATIC seeing who they can catch up. Raven does have level 20, so the spark rate damage, but I think another important one is just the ninja gear. A little bit of movement speed, a little bit of agi, but just being able to hide out of vision.
He's giving up a lot of gold with these Tempest doubles, though. How many? I don't know how many that's been. That's like the 6th or something I've seen that killed.
Yeah, a bit too many.
Yeah, so Gabby's getting, I mean, look at these net worths, right? They're just continuing to stay ahead, and a heart now for Cuckoo as well. We're mentioning some damage issues perhaps on FNATIC. They're starting to get better damage because of those items coming out, but, you know, T1, they're still looking to tank up even more. Almost overwhelming blink on the puck, Carl. As we said, free game. And split push commences. Bottom, we see the Treants starting to do their thing already. T1 hunting, claiming a high ground.
Well, trying into the fight. Gabby will jump on the Weaver, but Gabby once again is committed into the middle. Doesn't want to force out an early BKB, but that's where Whitemon comes into play.
That's where the split push kicks in too, like watching bottom the whole time.
The play on FNATIC to try and cancel some TPs or force T1 to stay in the area, but they are very defensive back to the T2 tower.
Dire's bottom tower.
Now they're going to try to stop some TPs. Look, Jabs is porting bottom. Starting to scout.
They have Jabs for a little while, 15 seconds without the Nature's Prophet.
Carl's on him.
But they might have caught him out. Bottom lane, Kalo is going to move down with the help of Zephyr. Coil dropped if required, and there we go. Comes into play as Jabs tries to stand his ground to potentially kill off Zephyr, but they don't even have the damage. Now back to the river. Gabby, oh, it's a huge catch onto Armel's Invoker. Now they've also ran into Raven. If BKB look at the Sandy's ground on the high gun, beating into Gabby, but Whitemon the medic making sure there's minimal damage dealt into Gabby. Tiny. It's FNATIC. Multiple buybacks, but they will get nothing out of it as T1 robbed them of everything.
Oh, they just walk away. T1, it's just a perfect prep. The puck, he's bottom, but the tree shows up too just in case because he needs the root to stop this Nature's Prophet coming back in. Puck is so farmed, his bots comes back up, he's able to join the fight in too, and then they just walk out of Wukongs. 2 buybacks, Armel gets caught. If Armel dies, it's just game over. 24,000 lead for T1 now. Keeping this lead up, growing it even more. Perfect control in fights as Cuckoo
Dire's middle tower.
and Gabby.
Oh, they got the
Feeling
vision.
their strength. Oh.
Oh no.
Uh-oh.
Oh. That's horrible timing. You don't have a lot of time as well with this pause.
No, and look at, like, Raven just popped his Tempest. Like, they're looking to beat on Gabby. He's a little split. Cuckoo's there with a Lotus, so should be able to probably protect him, but BKB's on cooldown for Gabby. This could be perhaps the chance that FNATIC needs to get a big kick out.
Dude.
And they're out of pause time.
Oh no. Unplugged back into play. They're trying to do whatever they can to keep Gabby alive, and the supports once again giving the breathing room required for Gabby to reset. FNATIC, they have to be so cautious. Their positioning. Armel sidesteps the coil.
He's so
they
lucky.
dodge a bullet.
Oh my god, that Armel is so lucky there. coil just missed. Kalo got greedy. He went for getting both the illusion or the Tempest double as well as the Invoker. If he just gets the Invoker there, that's probably could just be game over. But Armel, a bit lucky there.
Dire's middle tower is under attack.
27 on the puck. Overwhelming blink done if he looks to purchase it. We also saw, of course, Zephyr. He switched up his. He's not going for Aghanims. He has a Force Staff for his Tiny, gets him out of the leash, and now Tiny with DD with Leveler.
Oh no. Oh, it might just one hit majority of the heroes on FNATIC.
Indeed. Tempted. Very tempted. Carl's fishing. Oh, I guess he'll just settle for 300 gold from another Tempest double.
You might consider giving up Roche just to maybe hit bottom, but you can't even like force it heavily because of the overgrowth and the coil through BKB. It's not like you can really commit to maybe get the rat game on.
No, and honestly though, like the thing is too, let's say you even get this tower, let's say you even get the racks, does T1 even care? That's the one thing I'm looking like. They have heroes and they have the itemization, as you mentioned, with the bots to address a, you know, lane of racks being brought down. So T1,
oh, they're jumping instantly. Gabby hex out of the moment, but good luck killing the Tiny. 3900 health, and they just evacuate away from the area as Kalo, I feel like he's got the world at his fingertips, wanting to do whatever he can to hold back FNATIC, and looks like without the Tempest double, without the life of the Monkey King, this Rose should be given over for free.
They're being a bit annoying, just poking and poking while Jabs TP's out, but T1 looking to stop that, get rid of that ward, look for perhaps getting a kill before they look to finish out that Roshan. They will finish it out. FNATIC, they cannot contest.
This is... What's the play now? I'm surprised at the 13% probability for FNATIC.
Me too. I thought it was going to be 2% when I opened it or something, 1%. Feels, yeah, very impossible. I mean, what, they've only had 11 kills for how long now, right? It's just been them split pushing literally for 20-something minutes. They can't find anything.
You're just really hoping now that your high ground defense is something to fear. Invoker, Arc Warden, really solid high ground defenders. Monkey's not the worst as well with Wukong's, but
you'll never outscale. You'll never outscale this. Like, it's just not gonna happen. It's just too free. They have the whole map. Kalo is full. He's full slotted. Like, oh well. Besides buying an Aghanims and eating it, he's full slotted. He's gonna have a Wind Waker done in a second too. It's crazy.
Oh my lord, it's even a puck without an Aeon Disc. Like, Aeon Disc is a hell of an item for the puck just with how your playstyle is, and he hasn't even considered it. 8-0 and 7, he's just had such an exceptional game. It's been both games now, it's position 2s. Armel in game 1 on the Keeper of the Light, now Kalo on game 2 with his puck.
Yeah, they gotta be careful of these last picks, for sure. Cuckoo, didn't mention it, he's also hitting 25. What was that?
I was just going to say, is this something you're considering now? Like, because I think we're in a position where game 3 is more than likely on the agenda. So are both sides considering this second pick, first pick priority? Because we have seen Coddle game 1 and now Puck game 2. They were both last picks.
I think probably, yeah. But honestly, it just seems huge. It feels like this one was... He's done so much work on this puck, right? 8-0-7, but that doesn't feel like it even tells the tale of what Carl's done of the space making and how much pressure he's applied on the map. He just makes everyone so afraid to do anything. Gabby?
Just double up shortly for Raven. Buyback still on cooldown for Armel along with Jabs. 2 minutes 40 until they're back and available.
It's scary for FNATIC too, because like the poke from Kalo makes you almost tempted to use BKB a lot of the times. An overwhelming blink plus an orb plus a silence. It's like 1,000-something damage, so... They continue just being... You can tell their fingers on the trigger to kick those BKBs because they could just die from a Reaper. As, yeah, Rax gets taken out, and they go back and deal with those lanes on the side of T1. Looks like it will be an Aghanims that's going to be eaten from the puck instead of going for Wind Waker soon. He said, world is his oyster.
This is actually good. Like,
no, but why not?
Yeah, that's right. Why not? The
knockback is nice. The knockback is nice with the coil. It's kind of cool.
Invis detector as well, which is, I guess, nice. First Invoker versus the Weaver. They are trying to get set up at the front of the tier 2 tower. Yeah,
Look
they
at
just
DJ.
front of the minute 50.
DJ chilling in a very risky spot as he spotted. Another one.
Catch him out. Oh, the DJ will pounce out the safety. Now it's a Tempest double. There we go. Decrypt, 4-staff out, and all the damage that this Tempest double is kind of providing is instantly mitigated.
Yeah, great plays. Great support plays, really, from T1. Instant 4 staffs, instant Lotus Orbs, instantly protecting their cores. Just as the patience they're having from hanging on to BKBs, right? Gabby's is still 8 seconds. They're just really trusting in one another.
Just what comes over time for T1. Of course, their start to 2-2. So a slow one with their series loss versus Polaris, but they've been growing in power every game and every series, and that chemistry has been building. And we see they're in a position where they should be pushed to a game 3, and a game 3 that could decide if they can qualify to the major or not off the back of this series. But open for, well, we were, you know, the question was given as well at the end of the panel, asking how long this game was going to go for. It's always a question mark when you're against the Arc Warden, but what's going on bottom lane? Okay, Nature's Pop has been caught out. Well, it's been Jabs' role the entirety of the game to try and make space and try and split push the map, but his life will be cut apart as Cuckoo. Another charge, 110 seconds. That's even, you know, with the change in the Necrophos. That is the dieback on Jabs.
Oh boy, I'm actually just gonna look. When was the last time they did get a kill? I think it was like 20 minutes ago, right? Okay, they killed Cuckoo's Necrophos at the 28-minute mark. It's been 20 minutes since they got a kill. So it's just literally been split push for 20 minutes. And everyone just listened to us talk about them split pushing for 20 minutes and killing them.
Oh, the comms must be so rough on FNATIC. You at least have a buyback on Jabs, so it is back and available.
I'm sure they're talking about just like, oh, that's a sick ward. Oh, the grab.
Gabby, what? Oh my lord, that combination onto 2. They just walk together hand in hand and they'll join each other in the grave. Multiple buybacks are out for FNATIC. They need to get something out of this. But again, T1, they just walk away. They just walk away.
And that was Raven's, his real hero. That was his BKB on the real hero. So that's like, he can't even commit at all with even his BKB. He doesn't do any damage. He starts hitting Gabby, Gabby gets decrypt. I think he hits like 1 auto attack in onto the Tiny. 41,000 lead. 10,000 gold on Gabby. Unsure what to buy. He had Satanic Q, now he's got Butterfly Q, now he's back to Satanic. Too much gold to know what to do with. Okay, let's see.
Zeph is in prime position. A double boundless white one behind. They'll finally get a kill.
They got a kill.
20 plus minutes after the previous one. And that is Gem also picked up on Genuel, but T1. Multiple heroes in the area. If FNATIC, they can get a little bit more aggressive off the back of the kill.
But they got a kill. It's been 20 minutes, but they got one. But now Zephyr, you know, Zephyr dies, and he's like, all right, you know what? Now I'm buying an Ags, because screw you. Now he's got an Ags on the tree for even more map control. And honestly, versus like split push and versus Nature's Prophet, it's actually very good. So as much as we memed about it, it is a pretty good pickup anyway, even though they don't need it by any means this game. 40,000 gold lead.
The one thing is that, oh, never mind, Gabby's just going to brute force this high ground.
Cool.
Waiting.
Okay.
They get the instant hex, a lot of damage. Wyman off to the side,
Gabby?
but still they've blown up Gabby. Tiny's killed off. Now they're on to Cuckoo. Carl's still trying to provide as much chaos as he possibly can. Cuckoo with a ghost shot, protecting him for the duration, trying to juke to the right side of the fight, but Carl again in he goes. Potentially can snag the gem, but just the chaos. Carl, look at how aggressive he's playing. Back to the outpost. I'm not looking to jump, but Carl, dude, Carl's park is nutty.
Spell Prism, Octarine late game, Pog level 30. He is just having a full game, but they got Gabby. They got a second one, and it's a big one. You know, it's small gains, but something to get you on the board. We're starting to see Raven actually able to hit people. He's actually going to break the trio of top net worth in a second here. He's starting to hit maybe hard enough.
Fog, this
I
really was at 8. It was 8%. Now it's 21. Off like 3 minutes. Okay. So obviously it's an Arc Warden lover, but there's no way.
I think Gabby didn't even like pop BKB, nothing. Like he just stood there getting killed by Wukongs and everything. So maybe they're like looking, they're like, what the hell, Gabby? What are you doing? Dota Plus is wondering what Gabby's doing.
They were able to reclaim the gem as well with the Courier.
Yep.
So nice little micro. They already had one, I believe, on DJ. So double gem back in the hands of FNATIC.
Whitemon's got one now too, though. I think he bought another one for the Pug. Okay.
No. Oh, they're actually
Zephyr,
taking it to top.
Bots too.
The boost of travel armor, instant BKB, but it's not going to matter. Overgrowth and coil, everything they would desire to lock armor in place. They're already hunting for more. They're trying to catch any stragglers, but FNATIC, they're out of the area.
I mean, Carl's honestly the carry. Who needs a tiny? Like Carl is now at another 6,000 gold. After eating Ags and buying Wind Waker. Soon, nothing else he can do. Just a Moonshard.
What's actually the play? Do you go just casual Aeon Disc into Moonshard for Gabby?
For Gabby?
I mean, like, does Kyle buy Aeon Disc for himself and then get a Moonshard for Gabby?
I mean, he's at least saving buyback.
Oh, he doesn't need buyback. Come on, Fog. He's 11, 0, and 9. He's not going to die this game. He's flawless.
It's true.
We'll keep that run. Again, they're looking at TP into the Train Protector in the tree line. Only a measly Tempest double, but that is measly. It's still plus 300 gold that you are continuing to give over, which it maybe a 41,000 net worth lead. It might not be as much, but it's so much gold they go over earlier in the game.
Radiant's top tower is under
Let's see. On to high ground. 40 seconds.
Playing this one is a bit rushed. They could take Roche. Okay, tree's gonna be claimed. Zephyr, nicely going. Instant use to the side. No messing around from Cuckoo. Wants to put the Monkey King in the grave. He doesn't have a buyback. Now further inside, Mel's gonna be forced to buy back. Drawn to Cuckoo. A lot of damage to the Necrophos, but Gabby follows up. Inside the base they go. The BKB can stand his ground as there's no answer. This cleave is all they would need as Gabby just shreds them apart. Buybacks are lacking. They get one out of the Arc Warden, but a 2 on 5.
And there's the dieback from several different heroes as Gabby finally gets to play after dying before. And now they can close it out. Felt like it was a long time coming, but wow.
Yeah.
What a performance again.
I mean, Carl went 11, 0, and 13, and in the end, T1, they get to force it to a game 3. Like you said, a long time coming, 55 minutes in, but what a solid showing from them, being able to stem the momentum that FNATIC were building off that game 1 performance.
perfect. So.
Which draft do you guys enjoy on the panel more? And my question for this last game of the day is, at what minute will the first tower go down? Yeah.
Looking at these drafts, that's
Yep.
that's a hard
Make
one.
him think.
10
Quickly.
No.
10 minutes and
Nine.
team.
Oh wait, no, like 8. No.
I'm gonna need you to hurry
9
up. You got
minutes.
6
5 seconds.
minutes T1.
7 minutes. I'll just go against you, FNATIC.
Perfect. I like it when they
Haha.
disagree. But Eric, the same question for you guys as we head into game 3 between T1 and FNATIC.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of T1's draft. I think they got a bit of an edge in this game 3. I think with regards to towers, it might be a little bit delayed. I'm gonna go about, we'll go like 10 minutes 47. I think second catapult timing is what we're looking for.
Okay. I could see. Do I do the bold prediction? I'm like 7-minute mid tower, 6.5 mid tower for the Necro.
Let's go with it.
Yeah, screw it, why not? I don't know. I have no idea. I mean, I think that the matchup versus the Necro versus Ember, it used to be worse for the Ember, where he had to go like Flame Guard. He couldn't push lane out without Slight. Now Slight, you can actually push lane back a little bit versus Necrophos, but the matchup is still very hard. So Kalo, that's why we see them switch the matchup. They put that Necro into mid. They will have to sack their Pango a little bit into that matchup top versus Undying and Drow Ranger is what it looks like it's going to be, but I think that's a pretty good... pretty good concept to do so for when you have your Necro in such a good matchup mid. And yeah, the Medusa pick looked really solid. The real only counter that she has to worry about is that Drow, of course. But versus everything else, it's really good. I guess Mars Arena is something else, like slightly he'll have to watch out for most of the time. But yeah, it looks like a really good Medusa setup.
So I think the one thing that I like about FNATIC's draft at the moment is I think they do have pretty strong side lanes. I was concerned about I was concerned about the reason of them picking the Undying into the Necro, because I think Undying excels against melee strength heroes and the Necro is not that. So I thought you're picking this hero that relies on having a good lane and going from there. But because Necro's going mid, it's going to be Undying versus Pango, which is a pretty good matchup for the Undying. Should have a really good time. Undying Drow, really strong. And you got Mars Eye. Like, that is just...
Absolutely.
Of course, we saw it TI. It's still nothing different. Really strong. So those two side lanes, I think, is where FNATIC have to pull this game into a position where they can just snowball early on.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. I'm talking a lot about T1, but on FNATIC's side, like, they have really strong side lanes, and they have an Ember Spirit who's versus very limited disables that he has to worry about. Like, it's a Fiend's Grip, it's Overgrowth, it's like a Reaper's Scythe, and it's Pango. It's not your most traditional catches, it's mostly just ultimates that are going to be there to hold him down rather than just, like, a Lion Impale, a Sand King Stun, like, any of these type of things. It's a lot different. So it could potentially just become a free Ember game where he's making all the space in the world and Drow's able to farm, and he's going to have this, tether where he's able to just get super boost up from overcharge with his multi-shot in fights. But the group up from T1 is incredibly powerful. Their team fight is crazy strong when they rally around the Medusa. So yeah, we'll see how it all plays out. See if FNATIC can get themselves in a good position to allow this Ember to make space for Drow. Oh,
It does feel like Ember... Yeah, I was going to take a little bit of damage, but Tether's back up. They don't have the greatest supports to rotate on T1, so I wonder if Almel is going to consider early just to try and avoid this lane and just maybe pull the creeps over to the small camp or play, just have two separate lanes almost versus Kalo, because knowing that it's a bit difficult for a Treant Protector to come and maybe provide some damage or even the Bane as well.
Yeah, I'm mostly going to be watching mid. I'm not sure what Arno will do. He's got the Flame Guard level 1, which from the changes and all that, it's become a little better versus Necrophos level 1, as you can absorb the first pulse now. You couldn't do that in the past, so other little changes,
One more right click with the slow from the snake. Oh, live on. Licking his lips, he finds first blood, and T1 are on the board.
Oh, I love it, too. He went for the Orb of Venom. They know that this is a strong IO Mars lane, but it needs a couple levels to get strong. They're very strong level 1. That's always the power of Treant Protector. That level 1, level 2 is one of the strongest.
Even though they cut down some of the trees, they do have the 2-on jabs. Maybe White Ones overstep the mark a bit too far.
You got to be careful, though. Like, the Leech Seed is something you can't overextend into. It's crazy amount of healing this early.
Bottom lane off to a ripper start for tier 1, and well, that was one of the lanes for FNATIC that I was expecting to go a little bit better, but like you said, it's just the early levels is the concern as we move to top. Genuine on the Undying and Raven on the Drow Ranger. A little bit of pressure into Cuckoo, who's doesn't have any regen.
No, he does not. They have a lot of regen lacking. Okay, he does have extra being brought, of course, but... Ah, looks like Cuckoo's gonna actually get... Okay, oh, he missed a couple free last hits there, but looks like he might actually get some better farm than I thought he would. They're getting good lane positioning.
There's kind of multiple ways you can play the Undying in a lane. It's always the... Well, one, just in regard to how you think about even leveling in general, but we can see sometimes it's just a spam in abilities, bring out a bunch of mangoes. Even the Orb of Venom can be something you consider, especially when you have like a carry that can provide another slow.
Yeah, and then it's like, you know, you can choose to either go for a soul rip and a kill, or like just a heal sustain kind of thing, or you play, if they overextend, you drop Tombstone and go for double kill on your core. Something like that. Yeah, Raven, top CS, looking good so far. Chanwell doing his job.
Seemingly like Armel's actually, he's standing his ground against Kalo.
Yep.
Is of course taking a lot of damage and playing off the back of the bottle and the water runes as well, which he does still have one more top. But I think now that Kalo is, this is really where it starts to be a difficult lane. Like you needed to ramp up your levels, and now it's at the stage where very awkward for Armel to play.
Yeah, this is where it's just, you start getting out sustained. You have to make moves for bottle, while Necro doesn't have to go for this at all. You know, he just goes for stat items and just regens off the creeps. So, tough matchup, but yeah, first 4 levels, I think Armel held his ground very nicely.
Yeah, right now, kind of been off.
Oh, another pause. Uh-oh, and that's T1 pausing. That concerns me.
I was just going to say that this series has kind of been off the back of the position 2s. You know, again, we saw game 1, the Keeper of the Light for Armel, and then Kalo on the puck in game 2. So a bit of a different pace for Kalo the Necrophos, but see if he's able to follow suit and follow in that momentum. It's definitely a hero that they like giving over to Cuckoo pretty often, but Kalo has shown in the past that he has what it takes to play the Necro.
Yeah, and he could become also one of those unkillable necros this game again too, right? Like the magic damage is a little limited unless they get like the Gust silence on him or the Ember is able to full commit onto this Undying. When he's got his team rallied around him, it could prove to be problematic to kill him. If he just does get Ghost Shroud off, like the Ember and the Mars spells really that are going to be doing most of that damage. So, yeah. Alright, he's back. Other cool thing is, just to point out, I like when I see teams willing to just like swap what role they're gonna play of like 4 and 5. Like Whitemod's playing Tree. So, speaking of Whitemod bottom, level 2 Leech Seed.
Standing his ground, they'll push back jabs, but enough to get the kill as jabs limping away. We are seeing that this tier 1 bottom lane is able to put the pressure back onto FNATIC.
I love this skill build. I really want to point out for a lot of people on Tree, they just like default and you're like, oh, I'm with a ranged hero. Nature's Grasp isn't really that good, or something. But this is what an amazing ability for trading. It's one of the best. The damage and the healing it provides for you, it's absolutely insane. It's like 160 healing damage. So, Gabby, step up a bit far now while the tree is pulling. It'll take some harass.
Other little thing is that Raven was forced to put a point in Gus just to hold back Zephyr and Cuckoo early, so we don't really see like a Gus super early in the laning phase, so maybe this can minimize some of their kill potential.
I think this is a build that almost every Drow wants to go. Like, I think everybody tells themselves too, they're like, if I don't skill Gust, I'm gonna die in lane. And then they don't skill Gust, and then they die. And you know, this is just like, he's learned his lesson. He doesn't need that extra point in Frost Arrow. Gust is more important, so. I like when I see people actually take the skill points. Like when you're a Necro and you're like, ooh, I could take that 3rd point in Nuke over my Ghost Shroud.
Yeah, well, that's what we saw in the previous game. He was level 4, and then they were putting, well, actually top lane, Tombstone down. Nice read though. Cuckoo and Zephyr just turn it back on the Tombstone. Now this gives them a big window to beat onto Raven. He's gonna try and stand his ground with the multi-shot, but it doesn't matter. T1 surrounds him with an easy kill, and well, Januel's completely out of mana, so it's gonna rely on the movement speed to try and chase down Zephyr, but just edges out faster escape. As off to the other side, FNATIC, they also lose another hero in DJ on the IO.
Pretty huge. The team with Medusa getting early kills like this in the Medusa lane as well. And your lane swap. You have your Necro dominating the mid matchup, and now you have your Pango even getting stuff, getting more than I thought he would, again, out of the top lane. It's massive. I wanted to see if he was going to go for the build that we saw done from FBZ, especially when he's playing versus hard right click. He goes Vanguard most of his games on Pango, but Cuckoo's going to go more of standard. Arcane Boot, just Corrosion. I was just curious if we would see that Vanguard build from FBZ, because it feels really good. Zephyr, look at him just being annoying.
Oh, what are you going on now? They took away the power rune. He's we saw this in game 1.
He's like, you serious? I was like, dude, I actually can't fight you. Like, I gotta run.
His brains have the threat of it. It's a lot of damage.
I mean,
no.
It's again like really big plays coming out from T1. They're able to, like, Pango's alone, getting his own stuff top. Bane is disrupting the Embers farm while Necro free farms, Dusa free farms. Excellent start in the lanes. And like you mentioned, you know, FNATIC, they set themselves up with 2 strong side lanes. And yeah, they're not winning those.
Would you like to see T1 maybe bring supports mid to utilize this early catapult and also utilize the good start that Kalo has had?
I thought maybe the Bane could. I don't think Tree ever wants to leave Medusa at this point. So yeah, that's just about it. I thought that's why I said the 7-minute tower. You know, I kind of was joking. But I thought it was a possibility for the Necro. He got 700 damage, which is pretty nice. And the Bane was annoying. Maybe he was trying to do the rotation and just ran into an Ember. But look, what is happening? Are they chasing creeps? Carl's trying to bring the lane. Like, he's trying to meet the wave.
His Remnant's
His Remnant just timed out. It just timed out.
He's gonna die from this. They still have the brain zap. No way. Multiple tips flowing out as Armel gives over the 4th death. And now the bottom we go as Jabs. And a couple more right clicks, but DJ with the sustain will keep Jabs healthy enough, but he's going to TP all the way back to base. This is not looking good for FNATIC.
It literally timed out, what, like 2 seconds before they get the sleep on him, or like a second before this. Oh my god, how unfortunate. Poor Armel. And now the tower is going to start getting pressured as Whitemon, the bottom lane is broken, so now he can move. Since the Mars have been sent back to base, he can look to play around Carl a little bit. 2k lead already. Not a good sign for FNATIC versus Adusa.
Armel?
And that's gonna... Carl is just rushing a Vessel also. Since he's playing versus the IO and the Undying, the double heal supports. He's just gonna be the one to get it at an unbelievable early timing. Oh, like around 10 minutes, if not before then.
Again, it's... The side lane should not have gone as well as what they did for T1. The Pango's
Especially not
high
the top
net worth
lane.
and Raven.
Yeah, like the top lane, I feel like should have been the one that FNATIC definitely won. Bottom, maybe like a trade, but
we're gonna see that top lane. Cuckoo's rolling thunder onto Januel. It's a lot of damage towards Raven, but there is no extra heroes for Cuckoo to be able to play with. So first rolling thunder of the game will net them an easy kill onto Januel.
And it does feel like moving forward for FNATIC, like recovery just feels a little difficult, because I feel like, I don't know if this is the right choice from Jabs. He's gone for Armlet on the Mars this game. So you have an Ember Spirit who's shut down because of a tough lane plus dying. You have a Mars who's going for a greedy item build, so he's not going to look to move around and catch your Drow and Ember back up. I don't know if this Armlet was the right choice, because now it feels like he's going to be farming greedily, the Ember is going to be farming greedily, and the Drow is going to be farming greedily, and you have duo supports who don't do anything. So I'm feeling quite concerned for FNATIC right now when I see the item choice that they want for on Jabs too. And now the mid tower was brought down, so I mean a little bit after that 7-minute mark, but
a little
close
bit
enough,
after.
close enough, you know. I should have said 10 minutes or 8 minutes or 9 minutes all. But yeah, I mean 5-0, 3k lead. Tough lineup to really like invade now versus the Dusa as well after these lanes have gone so poorly. Because your Ember is, as we mentioned, you know, when you have a tough lane like this, you can't be the one to now go gank side lanes, because if you die, your game is just completely over. So now, yeah, it's... I'm not sure who helps Raven.
Oh, we're seeing Raven under a little bit of pressure. Cuckoo does have the reinforcements soon to show up, but Cuckoo's Rolling Thunder is back in the arsenal. He'll bounce back off the wall. Raven really nice sidesteps, but it just buys enough time for Kalo to get involved. Scythe is out. Arena fall from Jab so he can step into the middle of the fight, controlling 3, but the damage, it's there to take the life of Kalo. They even get Whitemon along with it, so biting off a little bit more than they can chew on T1, diving the T1 tower, and they will be penalized for that attempt.
Okay, well, a relocate to bring the Mars in makes that armlet very valuable. Look at the damage Jabs did, 3,200. Just completely slaps down the Necro, gets him caught to the wall. Alright, okay. Maybe I was jumping the gun a little on the armlet pickup because I was a little worried of how he gets to the fight, but kind of forgot about the IO, so big play there from DJ, bringing the Mars right into everything. It looked a little worrying because he did get hit by Rolling Thunder, but great connection on the Necro.
And it's also just a little bit of catch-up for Armel. Like, nothing crazy. It was a lot more gold given over to the Jabs, but at least, like, he's getting time to kill involvement, farm out a lane, farm out a jungle camp, so he now has the Javelin completed.
Okay. It's small gains. I mean, Raven is... It's still, like, the game is about the Drow Ranger, so it's like the Ember gets caught up a little bit, but Raven does die, and he's still very far behind, and Deuce is going to farm a lot faster than this Drow Ranger. Even though Drow has IO, I don't know how much the IO is going to be paired with Raven. I think he wants to stick with Mars early. So, yeah, Deuce just as a hero naturally is going to super out-farm Drow. So, FNATIC, it's a good thing to get them back on the board a little bit, but they still have to just think about the Drow versus Medusa matchup, because Drow is just not online by any means and just needs more space.
It's... The name of the game is just controlling Guy's triangle. We see how the wards are set up. One on the cliff, one by the secret shop. A couple of sentries in the area as well. Really trying to give Raven that safe space to find his catch-up farm. But down to bottom we go as DJ with Jabs. But they do have the relocate potential, but with all the stuns flowing in quick succession, they're going to give it another Scythe kill to Kalo. He's up to 3 charges now. Oh,
it's so early. It's so early for him to have this. They're feeling themselves for sure. Like, they're high-fiving, tipping, like, constant chat wheels. You can tell T1's feeling really happy about the way that this early game has gone. I don't think they expected to go this well. Even though that lane switch up, you know, the Necro versus Ember, I'm sure he felt like he'd do that well, but yeah, Pango crushing it. Gonna have a blink soon, so all these fights are gonna be easy for them to set up. And yeah, all the space in the world for Gabby to farm. And you mentioned the triangle. That sentry's still blocking Ancient, so Drow doesn't even have access to that on the on the dire side.
Absolutely 11 life for T1. Gabby's almost has this Manta Style completed. We have almost got Blink as well on Cuckoo. So this is going to be a pretty solid timing with the Pangolier Blink, which is all they need to maybe get that first stun onto the Ember or even, you know, gap close to the Drow.
And when Medusa joins the fights, you know, that's when it's going to be. When she's ready, then what does FNATIC do? Because we saw they did have, surprisingly too, they had enough to burst through Carl, but are they going to be able to go through both when they're both in the fight too? That's going to be a whole nother ask. Nice grab from Armel. Very good rune on the Ember.
And again, he's closing on this Maelstrom, and I feel like this game, it's going to be very similar to last in a way where I feel like FNATIC have to stall this out, especially early on, which is probably something that they weren't wanting to do. Like, IO lineups can really snowball, especially Drow lineups. But you're in a position where you're just too far behind. You have to delay and try and get those item timings where you feel maybe you can then force a fight.
Yeah, maybe. Delaying into a Dusa though, right?
Scary. Yeah.
Scary for sure. Even though you have your IO Drow, you have the Drow counter in a way versus the Dusa with an IO behind. This Necro is just huge. Level 12 on Carl. Reaper's back. They're hunting, but it's gonna be a big fight.
Oh, nice silence. They'll be able to kill off the tree protector before the fight breaks out, and meanwhile, Jabs run straight to Cuckoo. This is an exceptional start to the fight for FNATIC. They will lose the life of Jabs. Carl's going to be able to get another side kill, but Raven standing his ground, beating to Gabby, who will force back Januel, is going to end up ticking out to the Spirit Vessel, but now they can turn their attention over to the Necrophos, diving out of the T1 tower as they buy back on the bait, but to no avail as Carl gives up a streak over to DJ and FNATIC. Another fight going their way and a T1 tower.
Wow. I mean, they came ready. They brought the 5-man squad. They get the tree before he gets anything off. They get the Pango too. Very nicely done. And I was actually worried for Gabby for a second. He showed up after the fight was almost concluded. Drow was able to start beating on him. Raven, you know, now they enabled the Drow. So step 1. Still need maybe a couple more fights that work that way, but making it the Necrophos bleed. He did get the Reaper kill, but they do get the big kill and the tower.
You are... Oh, Mars is going BKB after the armor. So I know you were mentioning kind of your concerns about no blink, but we'll see.
Okay, oh well. I was mentioning my concerns about just like not being mobile at all, like with just straight armlet and brown boots. But with phase boots, I mean, he's dealing a lot of damage in the fights to himself because he's the one who's tethered in most of these situations. So cool.
And it's a completely different game we have now 16 minutes in. Before we were kind of mentioning, like, Armor has a much better game. He can act as almost like a pseudo initiator, and we saw what the relocate can do in your previous engagements. So maybe just really looking to be this beefy man, sit in the front line, protect the Drow, allow her to siege from the back, and just get that damage flow in, because Raven is doing pretty well. Level 12.
He's caught up. He's completely caught up.
Yeah.
Yeah, so he's not at the same level as Gabby, but for a Drow that was shut down in lane, I think that's the best you can ask for. Yeah, no, it's really good. That was big. I actually did not think that they were going to get the connection. I thought the tree was going to scout them, and then it was going to be like the exact opposite almost. So it's very thankful for FNATIC that they're able to bring this back, because now they have mech IO too, so some extra sustain in the fight. And yeah, now Raven's actually able to farm, which felt like he was just going to struggle for a little bit from the T1 snowball that was happening.
I think in regards to the itemization coming out from the position ones, it's all eyes towards the Scotty, which Gabby is already starting to work on. He's got this ultimate orb. Jabs is going to be caught out top. It looks like Zephyr's not going to try and follow up with the Fiend's Grip, but yeah, this game it's all on the eye, Scotty. It's such a huge counter to both the Medusa and the Drow Ranger. Not even just them, but also the heroes on the sides, and the eye, the Necro, just the sustain that they require.
Yeah. I mean, Medusa item timings get very crazy, very fast. Like 1 or 2 items, and it's like you can't fight into this hero. Yeah, he's getting close, so they're looking to kick that timing up.
They just pierced the middle. Ooh. They're able to run through the defense on T1, but Cuckoo's still in a position. Be able to offset RML, bounces back, but doesn't get the chain control. So this is Rolling Thunder expended. They're going to get a perfect tombstone of the hiker, but where's the follow-up instant side? Jabs hasn't been bursted down. A relocate a little bit too late. A 1-for-1 trade, but they're fighting into the tombstone advantage. Raven's on the low ground, doesn't really have prime position to start sieging, so it will be T1 just edging out a victory.
Good reset away from Tomb. I think if they chase, they actually lose that fight more than likely. Then they don't get the Reaper kill either. It is a kill on a core for a support, so a little bit of a better trade there from T1, but it's not a Reaper kill. And Raven still continuing to get this space on the map. He's got his Manta done. All right.
Also, just in regards to something you were mentioning in that fight, is how they've respected the tombstone and the area denial that's able to provide, and also the arena as well. I think they are 2 of the best ways to be able to combine with a Drow, who is a glass cannon type of hero. Like, you need to be able to stand your ground, and if the formation is broken, then this hero and how you play it's completely down the drain.
Totally agreed. I'm actually surprised that, I guess Raven, because he was behind, he didn't want to go for it, but I could have put an argument for the Gust blind talent this game. Like your carries always want to have the frost arrow damage, but you're playing it to Dusa. I felt like it could have actually been pretty valuable this game, but most of the time he's gonna be gusting Necrophos, I guess is probably his thoughts.
Damn it. Alright, Kyle's just gonna pick that one up. Like, may as well. He's even got a Radiance queued up, so we'll see if Kyle's gonna continue down this route.
Look at that. That's kind of cool.
An interesting one. I mean, we saw the heart on the Necrophos in the previous game from Cuckoo.
The old school pickup. Oh, bottom. Okay, Armal gets out of there. That was a little close. It's like the old school Necro. You deal so much damage. If you're not addressed, you're gonna kill everybody with Heartstopper Radiance. And long drawn out fights, you'll just straight up win with Medusa Necro if he goes this build. Speaking of Medusa, Gabby, he's got it done after this wave. Maybe he gets jumped first. They were thinking about it. He'll have Scotty done, and I think Jabs, he does have his BKB done. So as for him, starting fights with BKB Brigands, like we saw him before, right? Now the next time he'll live. He'll just BKB walk in. If he can grab the Necro, they might just be able to burst him in time. The Necrophos, that is. And then he can do it a lot freer. Because if he had Blink, he just Blink initiates and he's dead every single time. Like this with the BKB, might be able to reset.
It's just a question of if they can get usage out of this arena, though, because Rolling Thunder is one of the better abilities to be able to mitigate that. You know, care about the walls. You roll directly in the middle, just kind of split the arena into two. And FNATIC, they want to dive in. They want to blow heroes up, and you even have a Stone Gaze to kind of act as some also area denial, like we brought up before.
T1's ready. They've got the Scotty on Dusa, level 17. Waiting for something. They see bottom. Long ways to swing towards. Oh, did he break it? He didn't break anybody. Oh, he broke Cuckoo.
Don't know if he saw Cuckoo.
I'm not sure either. It didn't look. I mean, from the way that they're playing, it looks like it.
That's a very interesting ward placement. Bottom
They've had
one.
They had another one, like you saw, like up north at the tier 2. They actually still have it. It's to like, I think it's to watch and catch the relocate positioning and stuff. It's really interesting because now it's gonna catch them positioning at the tier 2, and maybe FNATIC tries to break high ground. And look at Carl, like they're setting up for this high ground defense.
Just
FNATIC
out
actually. Okay. Carl peeks. He knows. FNATIC has to watch out. They cannot fight in that area versus Medusa. BKB also on Armel. I mean, they've got the double BKBs on FNATIC, so they're kind of poised to fight, but they don't want to force it.
He'd love to be able to wait for Raven to find his BKB. This is a bit of a window right now for T1, of course, with the Ice Scotty advantage on the Medusa. He's even
He
lucky
also has a
enough.
crit. He has a crit also on top now too. He's farming really fast. Yeah.
Oh my, Gavi. 18. Got the grow bow as well, so more ways to buff up the Medusa.
It's just easier to farm. Like Manta, Medusa, you just Manta, send it down waves. You just naturally farm so fast. 306 last hits on Dusa, 213 on Drow. So, Genuel?
It's a tough life sometimes, so we're gonna try and get to the area. Scythe is out, it's enough to get the kill, the Tombstone. They're trying to focus it down, but off the side, the Fiend's grip. It's out onto Jabs. He doesn't have an opportunity to get the arena out before he dies at BKB, but it will not matter. Now they're onto Raven to the eastern side as Kalo and Cuckoo. They recognize their job, surrounding the Drow, forcing out a BKB. But that will only be used to make it away as T1. What a play from them, and this could open up Roche as Gabby and Cuckoo, they're both in the pit.
What a play from Zephyr. Like there really isn't that many ways for them to stop Fiend's Grip. We didn't really talk too much about it, but the limited disable, that double lack of stuns from the supports. It's like Gust was down, Amber used chains, and then Mars is the other one to stop it. He just grabs the Mars. That was beautiful, really, from the Bane. Just great understanding of the fight of who to get on, and just not messing around too. It's just they initiate with Rolling Thunder because they know they're going to react with the relocate, even though they didn't know who was on high ground there. Like they just force an engagement. That was really well played from T1. And FNATIC, so that's a pretty huge fight to have go goes south because Raven shows up with BKB and all that. His first BKB charge gets wasted. Same thing for the Ember, and now your Drow is almost 2 full items behind a Dusa with Aegis.
Yeah, it was your triple BKB timing on FNATIC, and now it's just death ball from here. T1, they have so much sustain through the living armor, through the necro heal. You're not really cooldown reliant. Like Scythe, of course, a very long cooldown, but not something they're relying on to take fights at all. So maybe they wait for Radiance, they wait for Silver's Edge, and then it's go time. You could probably take two towers.
He got the Reaper kill again, right? I'm pretty sure he did. I looked away for a second, but either way, he's at 5 stacks. Like, look at his regen. He has, without the stacks that he just got from the last 2, he has like 36 per second health without even popping his Ghost Shroud. So like, then they're gonna be really big nuisances, right? Like this Necro and Dusa, they're gonna have to commit so much to kill one of them that the other one is gonna destroy the fight, likely, especially with the Radiance that Kalo's going.
And just theory crafting a little bit, what do we think the build is after the Radiance? Can he consider a blink? Like, do you just try and get on the Drow and have this evasion so Drow can't really stand and right click?
I guess maybe. I would like him to honestly have some more armor. He has 8 armor. I'd like some plus armor versus a Drow, maybe, but I'm unsure. Maybe the blink is just valuable enough for him to get on top of the Drow. As it looks like the fight's gonna kick off. Armel's committing. They saw Ghost Shroud used.
They just lost the ward on the backline. FNATIC and now Cuckoo once again. Prime target of the Mars, but they don't get the second bounce back, so DJ to the rescue. They'll sacrifice Genuel. Cuckoo trying to cut down some trees, finding any stragglers, but they'll just get the return kill on the Io, so both supports will be killed off, and they'll try and connect this into some more towers down bottom.
Carl gets both last hits too, I think really important. He's got Radiance.
Ooh.
Another stack as well too, so now we look once he gets his stacks down. 37.9 per second. How are you gonna kill this Dusa and Necro? Like, you can maybe kill one on the side of FNATIC with your spear combo, but killing both is getting harder and harder.
And I really like your call about the armor as well, because yeah, he's only got 8 armor, so it's like,
he's going Lotus.
Let's go Lotus. Yeah,
I think that's the right choice
for this game.
I honestly was considering saying like maybe he just goes BKB because then he's literal invulnerable. It's never something you want to do in Necrophos, but this is just easier and better because then all he has to worry about right now is getting caught in like chains and a gust or something. This will just remove all of that, plus make him just naturally tanky without having to worry about anything. So yeah, Carl really killing it on his item choices and his play today. 11-2 this game. Last game, what, he was like 11-0 or something. Really good stuff.
Cause I mean, the momentum, that's something we were speaking about from Armel in game 1, if it could lead it over into the other series, and it's definitely been Carl.
Dire's top tower is under attack.
It's this game, it's like, what can Armel? Armel's 4-1-6, and he was in a Ember versus Necro matchup, and he got chased from a Bane. Like, I think Armel's doing, like, it feels like all he really can. It's just, it's tough when the weight is on him and the Mars to make plays because they have these double saving supports that have to just look at the way they have to play. Like, Genuel and DJ have to do exactly what they're doing right now, almost the whole game. They have to hug Raven.
Top tower is under attack.
Yeah, what is the role of the Ember through these fights? Like, what is Armel's job to get done?
Radiant's bottom
I mean, he probably wants to just kill Zephyr. I think he needs to get rid of this Bane.
tower is under attack.
As we just saw, that Fiend's group literally just crushed the last team fight. I think he just needs to kill one hero. And, I mean, maybe even just kill for both supports, and then somehow they need to isolate this Deuce and Necro. But, again, not sure where the damage is going to come from them. It's not easy for FNATIC
Dire's
at the point that we are at.
is under attack.
7,000 net worth lead, and T1 already beating onto the high ground. They have the Aegis for another 40 seconds, so looking to force some reactions. They don't feel like they can probably take the tier 3 tower, but it's just mainly getting FNATIC back inside the base, and you're ruining any economy they can further gain.
Really important that they got the ward down, and it's not getting dewarded. So they have a ward in the base that's going to be able to, I mean, probably pay off later on. And looking at Armel, he spent his gold, so you know. So he's committed for that full Aghanims. So maybe they're going to look to fight immediately after it and try to catch T1. Maybe perhaps when the Aegis expires, 5 seconds. Maybe they could think about it. It's risky though. So you'll have nothing left for buy. You'll have no buyback left on Ember. So, but 5 remnants now available.
They have some very good vision though on FNATIC. One by the cliffside, kind of in the bottom radiant jungle. One that's about to expire, protecting FNATIC's triangle.
Oh god, look at Carl now. So plate mail, and he just got blast rig. Look at his armor now.
Oh. Amel.
Raven.
Thunder out, but they're on to Raven! What's the draw doing the river? A quick relocate from DJ. Raven's out to safety, and now FNATIC pounce. They're on to the opposite side of the map as Bane's gonna drop. Carl's in trouble, is able to reset his positioning, drops a side, but Armel's okay, protected for the BKB. A remnant over to his side. It's FNATIC. Okay, but that was way too close for comfort.
A beautiful reload. He was about to get scythed, but he got caught on like the edge of the Mars arena, I think it was, on Carl. Couldn't make it to him. I think Carl also, I don't know if he like forgot, I guess he forgot he didn't have the shard, because he reapered Armel like really high HP, and I was like, oh, he's gonna use shard to make him, you know, ethereal and maybe get the kill, and then I was like, oh wait, yeah, he didn't go shard this game. So a bit of an early reaper.
Radiant are scanning.
Maybe they look to punish it. A scan comes out. Is that a move that can make? No, it's not. Okay, it's a ping. I thought it was like, wait, reload just happened. How's this happening?
Some more shenanigans on the map, but FNATIC, yeah. What was looking like a very, very awkward start to the fight, I think Raven gets gifted an extra life, honestly, off the back of DJ's beautiful relocate, and he's continuing to push back this Scardy timing. He thought about it after the Manta, he went BKB, he thought about it after the BKB, he went Hurricane Pike, and now it's like, all right, now it's Scardy time. But you are so far behind. Something you mentioned before is that, man, this Deuce's items, you say she just gets one item, and then all of a sudden afterwards, she's got another item you're starting to mention.
Yeah. A full BKB now finished, by the way, on top of Blake. As we were mentioning items aplenty. Yeah. Full 2 items ahead, and it's going to continue that way. It's not gonna be easy for the drone until she starts getting involved in some kills inside of a fight to catch up to the net worth of that Dusa. As Carl, he's got his Lotus now finished, so now he's pretty invulnerable. Now he's got multiple different ways to protect himself versus Gust, Chains, etc. Only way they can kill him is if they burst him in a spear combo. And they are setting up for it.
That they are.
Let's see, can
Carl
they get
doesn't
Carl?
have heroes behind, and dying know where all of Radiant are. They're well aware that Carl has no backup. A Lotus out. He's still got the Yules to be able to play with. Jab's got to fly over the tree line to offer the extra control, and Carl gets the Yules at the last second, but can they stand their ground to protect him? Carl will be killed off. Cuckoo trying to deal with the backline, but the rolling thunder will provide nothing as the TP out. He's okay, but now this might give a sign for FNATIC to continue on for more. Gabby's out to safety, but Armel will not be able to run into the tree and protect us, so bleeding some more kills.
That's the big one they're looking for. They've been trying to get him all game. They finally get this pesky Necro out of position. Right after he picks up like a ton of armor items, as we mentioned, you know, Blast Drake plus Lotus Orb, he's at like 28 armor, but they get him with the spear. That's the most important thing. And not hesitating either. They even drop the arena afterwards just to make sure that the Medusa can't come in and get any cleanup kills. So FNATIC, signs of life. Pretty big moves as Jabs. He's going to be finishing a refresher now on the Mars in a second too. So Blink, Armlet, BKB, refresher. They'll have 2 different goes to be able to maybe address that Necrodusa as we've been talking about. Really catching things back up.
Look at the map control they just got off this. A tier 2 bottom, a tier 1 mid. Like, this is huge for FNATIC now.
Yeah, there's a huge influx of golden experience too, right? Level 23 on the Ember, 2,700 gold, 21 Mars. As we mentioned, almost his refresher too. Yeah, this is big gains. And exactly what they needed, because like we mentioned, you know, Gabby even reacted, so he stopped farming for some time to go react to bottom, and yeah, losing themselves all of that momentum. Still got a game on our hands.
Oh, well and truly, dude. We got a perfect position to be in. Have 3,000 net worth lead for T1, and it's a very minimal kill advantage. We've got 31 apiece, and this is...
Radiant's middle tower has
wow. I mean, the fact that FNATIC are even being able to resemble some form of a game 3, where it was, you know, getting to a stage where at the, I think it was like 8,000 top lead for T1, but FNATIC just some way have been able to call themselves back, and these items are soon to be completed. Like, we almost have this Scardy on Raven.
And we almost have the Dominator on Hanwell, so we almost are going to have the Harpy.
Little Harpy.
Yeah.
Oh no.
14 seconds though till Roche. So see T1, they're gonna smoke. They're gonna look for an actual straight up fight, because that last fight was them literally getting completely caught off with the Necro, and he still barely died. If they're rallied behind Carl, they'll definitely be able to save him.
Nice move though. T1 avoiding the area where FNATIC have the vision. Confirmation Genuel's location. An awkward blink from Gabby as Genuel just looks to drop the tombstone down. Jab's gonna fly over, but it's a wasted Arena. And I think FNATIC have to avoid the fight now. Arena, Tomb, both on cooldown. And this will be Roche now for free, I think.
They have a second Arena, so maybe this catches them off guard. But no Tombstone will be problematic. Oh, that's, I mean, fortunate for T1 that they get such a quick respawn. It was, I think it was like almost instant respawn. But very unfortunate for FNATIC. 20 seconds, no Tombstone. But like we said, Jabs, refresher at the ready.
They're coming. Armel wants to poke. See if any reactions are out. Hating the second Arena potential, but T1, they're not crazy grouped up just yet.
He refreshed. Jabs is ready.
On Armel. Armel needs to get them grouped up. See how they're playing? They are underneath Radiant Vision, so there's full confirmation. Roche is soon to fall. They need to get in the pit. Gabby standing his ground to bash. No from Roche. Now the Arena's out. Try to control them out to the pit as the Aegis picked up from Jabs. Armel able to survive through the scythe. Now with the BKB remnant out, but still inside the mouth of the pit. They have the Fiend skip. They'll get rid of the first life, but how can they reset for the second? As Raven and DJ standing hand in hand, but T1, they don't want to bar over it. They're happy with that. But that's a big win for FNATIC.
They got the last hit as well. Jabs got both. He did not get the shard though. Medusa did end up picking up the shard, and who did he hand it over to?
It's in the base. I think it's given over to Carl.
Going to Carl. Yeah. Okay, so he picked it up. He gave it to Carl. But yeah, again, like FNATIC, that now the refresher is revealed. So if T1 didn't know about it, they'll 100% give in. And nobody died, right? It was kind of a crazy fight that nobody ends up dying in because they're all just dancing. Except for the Aegis, of course, but... Okay.
All right. There we go. Ravens. Oh, this Ag shard is... It's quite a shard. And you've got that now with the Ice Scotty too.
Yep, he's got that really good reduction. And then if he does kill anybody, that explosion, of course, that burst is going to be nice versus these super tanky heroes. He's pretty close behind that Medusa. Such a close game. Armel now with a full Lincolns as well too, so ways to protect themselves versus Reaper finally.
I mean, this is something that we were bringing up though earlier on, is that this is a very good Ember game. It's going to be difficult to chain control him. You're probably only playing off the back of like the one time he's died was that mistake into the Fiend's group, and if that's not the case, it's just beautiful chain control from Pain going to maybe an Overgrowth. But we see Armel is really playing these fights perfectly.
Yeah, the supports as well. Like, the FNATIC supports have been on point. Like, Generals gave a couple kills on the Tombstone, but, like, they've been doing their job excellent as Cuckoo. He's got Lotus and Yules. He should be fine. Yeah.
That's something. I like what FNATIC are doing, though. It's holding bottom. They do not want to lose this water.
They got the Harpy. Ooh. Look at it.
Oh, no.
This will be what wins them the game. This will be it.
Okay.
It's in position. Raven's actually poking. Look at this. Like, they have full vision of the entire Radiant base, so... Damn, RP.
Dude, this... I have to look somewhere else. I get too triggered if I keep looking at the Harpy. Kalo is going to the Sunjin Kai. Okay. So just continuing to tank up as much as possible.
Yeah, some status resist too, because I think the only thing that kills him if he dies, it's literally if he dies in the spear to the wall. So I think he's starting to recognize that as well. I actually thought he might do some funny disassembling fun stuff, but there's not really anything you can disassemble Radiance into besides your nullifier, which you do not want on Necrophos. So
What do you
But
mean?
maybe.
Nullify Necro sounds kind of cool.
Karappa.
I mean, if you're going for some interesting item builds, we just saw Ace in Western Europe on his Underlord. He went
lost.
Like Basher, Satanic. Oh, hang on, no, you're not supposed to say that. People can go check it for themselves. They hear an Underlord going Basher and Satanic. It's like, well, that's all. Let's test that out.
That's true. But yeah, he wants that status resist just slightly tankier and to be removed from being pinned. As how's our 25s looking? Armel is 25. Raven's still a bit behind. Gabby, not quite 25, and neither's Carl. So okay.
Dire's middle tower
And again, now they're starting to poke again bottom.
Radiant's bottom tower is under attack.
As the Harpy continues giving them good vision.
Someone's gonna kill it off. Just put your body on the line, Rolling Thunder, get rid of the trees, do something, get rid of the Harpy. No,
They're scouting it. Look,
yeah, they're sending the courier.
Scouting with the courier.
Oh no!
Oh, this is too funny. Look at it. Oh man.
Alright, he is out, and let's. What do we got? Okay, this is actually kind of big. Whitemon is working towards Blink, and he's very close to it.
Okay,
So
that's kind of needed.
Can
Armel?
they kill? No. Okay.
No. Okay, what other things have been picked up that we didn't know? So Carl got a flicker. As you mentioned, yeah, the blink almost done for Whitemon. The flicker is going to be really useful. Again, more dispels versus gust and whatnot. Cuckoo has Aeon Disc, so he'll be. I mean, he's kind of just been committing very recklessly anyway as the Rolling Thunder, but now even easier that he can commit with the Spell Prism. Pretty big pickup. And I mean, Zephyr with a Ninja Gear. That's one that I'm going to keep eyes on because his positioning's been excellent so far with his Fiend's Grip. Definitely another possibility with a Ninja Gear. Free smokes.
It was something that Gabby had for a decent amount of time, but he's swapped that over to the Trickster's Cloak, wanting the evasion, a little bit of magic resistance as well for the Medusa, who now has hit level 25.
He's got the timing, right? The big timing. That split shot modifier with Scotty. Raven has his own slight amounts of evasion as well, too. He's got the Elven Tunic, at the very least, to kind of, you know, so they can match some slight types of dodging. And look at this, just playing around their vision. Playing around that Harpian ward.
Just aggressive smoke in quite some time.
25 on Mars.
Look at this. Armel's going to see Carl. Did they? I think he might have actually just been out of range. Jabs.
The jump.
Instant jump. Onto the Bane. A quick and easy kill. Armel's going to look to follow up and provide some more chaos towards the backline. Jabs with a refresher. Pins the Necro up against the tree. Whitemon's going to fly over, trying to lock them down with the overgrowth, but there's no extra damage throughout the duration. They're trying to focus him down still. Carl's falling lower and lower. They will kill off the Necrophos. Meanwhile, throughout the river, Raven duking to the northern side. Has been able to avoid Gabby. He's going to blink on forward. A beautiful nightmare. Raven's in trouble. They're TPing behind him. They need a way to be able to protect Raven. That's where Jab's putting his body on the line with the bulwark. And now Raven turns it back around. They're locked onto Gabby. Pins him up against a tree like a pinata. It's Raven doing God's work. They're on to more. Cuckoo stuck on a cliff. Well, that's not the position you want to be in. It's FNATIC flying for... I don't know how they keep doing it.
Oh my, I mean, Jabs is an absolute monster this game. MVP for me so far, for sure. It's just his spear usages and his arena usages there. He dies, has a buyback gold, comes back in the fight, just stands his ground with the... I mean, perfect play really from the Mars. Couldn't have asked for better. Taking out the Bane, taking out the Necro, setting up his team for this. Necro no buyback, Deuce has buyback, but now they have to be very careful. They could just lose the game in one quick succession as it's DD Underow. Holy crap, Jabs.
Cuckoo gets rid of the DD. Okay. Yeah, no cliff. Just pop the prize, so a full set of barracks.
Wow. So well played, honestly. Like Armel 7-1 and 9. He endured a little bit of that tough early game he had, and now he's fully online. This is just really well played. That's T1. They have to be kicking themselves right now.
I swear it said that T1 didn't have glyph still, but they have this one to continue delays. Medusa's up in 20 seconds.
I think the top one of the towers died, right? One of the T1s died in the reset, maybe? I'm not sure, but... Look at Armel's gold now, too. After one successive fight, like one huge fight like that, he's up to 8k gold. Jabs had just finished 25 before that fight, too. Up to 26 with another item, too. Like, they just got such a huge influx of items and everything. That was... I mean, picture perfect.
This is... FNATIC. I don't know how they hit first. I cannot believe it as well. They get 2 melee barracks, 10,000 net worth lead now, and T1, I mean, they were so close. They can almost smell the flight. The tickets were about to be booked over to the major, but now you're 11,000 gold behind, and potentially soon to be playing tiebreakers if you lose this series.
And now Jabs has the Lincolns too, so they have look at the cores now. They have double Lincolns on the Ember and the Mars. The Raven is at 25.
Up the high ground, Cuckoo instant rolling thunder. Look, get rid of the life for the Undying, but look at Armel, the recognition to try and deal with the backline supports. Jabs wants in, and he does just that! An Arena controlling the entrance into the fight. So T1, they have to get creative on how they're able to get on top of Raven. A second Arena to the west, just giving Raven ample time to be able to beat onto Cuckoo. A rolling thunder completely wasted. Swashbuckle down to the low ground, but Armel, godlike streak. They're back over. Kalo gets a side kill, but it will not matter. Die back onto the Pangolier. It's only the 2 survivors, Gabby and Kalo, limp out to safety, and FNATIC again, another successful team fight.
Maybe I'm getting a little tunnel vision by Jabs, but I feel like he's doing so much work of splitting these fights up that allows this to go well. Like, he dies, he eats a Reaper and ends up dying, but my god, both of his arenas, like, really well placed. His spears too, just eating spells left and right every time to just allow Raven to do exactly what he's been doing now these last few fights, being able to hold his ground. Armel also being a bright nuisance in the fight, just jumping back and forth. Really well played from FNATIC now.
Yeah, for FNATIC, how these fights to go perfectly for them is Blink in, Stone Gaze, and Pango roll, and everyone just runs at the Drow. Everyone runs at the Drow through BKB, through whatever, and waste the arenas. But as soon as those BKBs expired, you've got second arena, and now you've even got Aegis for free, along with everything else you could potentially want.
I believe it was a full Ags for the... Who'd they end up giving that to?
Even
I would imagine they give it a Raven. Yeah, good. And he's huge now. Like, now he's beyond huge. Like, he's gonna easily kill the Dusa, easily kill anybody. Which he kind of was already, with the backup of his 2 cores.
Oh, they got a Harpy as well. Very cool. Yeah. So that was another thing I wanted to mention, is that FNATIC are continuing the discipline from them to take fights around their vision. When you have a glass cannon type of hero like the Drow, who your game relies on not getting jumped and being able to stand your ground from afar and siege. That is why this Drow vs Medusa matchup works so well. And now the Harpy is going to further enable this.
Yeah, and they don't have the same ways to gap close as easy on the Drow anymore. Like Pango, he's starting to get so squishy. He only has 1 ult. You know, the Mars has this refresher that he picked up at such a good timing. He's always got that second set of go that he can do with his team. Yeah, this is...
Take a look at the net worth disparison. Look at Cuckoo's net worth, and then look at Jabs' net worth.
Yeah, multiple fights in a row. This Jabs really kicking it off. Stop Gabby. Hasn't spent his gold. He has a lot of gold on this Dusa. How much gold do they actually hang on to on all their heroes? Hang on to a lot. So even though it says like 18,000 or whatever disparity, it's actually more than that because Gabby's holding 8,000 gold.
Yeah. Wonder if
Jabs
he's
is ready. Oh, the Harpy.
What Gabby just bought?
Look at it.
Okay.
Look at it. Look at the Harpy.
Oh no, dude. No. Jabs onto the Medusa. An instant nightmare. Cuckoo's going to look to fall up with the second arena, but the mana, it's being burnt. The health is being burnt as well. Raven just freely sieging on the backline. Now Gabby's going to look to buy back to rejoin the fight. FNATIC, they need to get out. They need to avoid the Medusa. She wants revenge. Stone Gaze into the middle. Jabs limping away. Look at the bulwark. Look at the healers. Jabs is not even dead just yet. Zephyr's trying to blink to the backline, but Raven Gabby's in the middle. At BKB, Gabby, they need to be able to
Gabby.
prevent the marksmanship block, but once again, pinned to the tree. They're going to focus the Medusa. She just pulled back. If she dies, that's game.
Oh my
Gabby's
God.
gone. FNATIC have such a huge window to take this game and potentially the series.
They're just resetting the Drow's positioning, and I mean, the Harpy, but jabs, honestly, all jabs. All the clutch fights, it's been the combo of Armal plus jabs. Like, Armal is just distracting, always dealing with these supports, while jabs gets the crucial targets. The double spear, double arena on the Medusa, and then somehow he lit. I cannot even understand how he lives. He resets himself out of the fight from the double heals, and then he's there for a follow-up spear. So well played. And yeah, 80 seconds, no Dusa. It's go time. 2 minutes on Aegis.
Now, oh, the Harpy again! Nerf this creep! Get it out of DOTA. Don't make it this busted. It's FNATIC at another pick-off, and now they're diving tier 4 towers. Kalo is not as tanky as what he was prior in game 3. He'll make it back to the safety of his fountain. Okay, a Fiend's Grip, it's a long enough duration, but Armel doesn't even die throughout it. They're lacking the damage without the Dusa. 4 gone, no buybacks. Ravens onto the throne. And FNATIC, what was that?
What a comeback. That wasn't... I mean, it wasn't like out of realm's reach with this like 9k gold lead, but it was really starting to feel it. But man, that was such good plays about recognizing how to take fights, and like Jabs' buyback around that mid fight, it felt like that was everything. That arena, that refresher, him just catching out the Bane, and then follow-up succession to just get on top of this Necrophos. Perfect understanding of who he needs to go for. That was so well played and so well composed that they keep themselves calm and keep themselves like, hey guys, it's fine. You know, we have Drow versus Medusa matchup. Ember still got this like limited disable he's playing versus Armel ends 11-1-14, Drow 8-2-9, and this is a game that felt like they were struggling for a lot of it, and it doesn't look like it now when you look at those scores.
It's just